Hey guys, welcome to part 4 of What If Naruto Became the Black Wolf of Konoha. If you enjoyed the video, then like, share and subscribe, and also comment your thoughts as it inspires me to make more such videos, and remember to check out my playlist section for other interesting stories. So let's get started. Chapter 16. Another one bites the dust. Fire Country is blessed by nature by many ways that other countries become rather envious about. The temperature wasn't as high as Wind Country, and its water supply was 10 times as much. It didn't have dangerous storms like Lightning Country, although it rains just the necessary amount to supply the flora and fauna with fresh air and water to cool the temperature. Also, where all you can see is wide set of forest around, in Earth Country, there is nothing but rock scattered around the place. The day today couldn't be better. It was spring and the temperature wasn't too hot, allowing a cool wind breeze to swing by and cool off 5 Konoha nins that happened to be stopping near a lake in order to drink some water. Naruto and his Anbu team along with Kurenai had been traveling close to 5 hours now, so they stopped for a while. Normally, being an Anbu, that wasn't such a thing as getting time to rest. However, this mission wasn't considered a normal one. Tracking a tailed beast was hard enough, also the team could expect to run into Akatsuki once more, so saving as much chakra and stamina was the best course of action, considering they knew little to nothing of what they would expect once arrival. Kakashi was wondering if they would find some new members of that organization and feared for the worst. Apart from the ones already taken care of, the only one Konoha knew of was Uchiha Itachi, and if such a foe appeared, Kakashi would be hard-pressed not to feel like his group is outmatched, even if it would be 5 against 1. Aside from Itachi, the other members were a secret, and even Drea couldn't find the rest. The silver-haired man was currently filling up his canteen when he turned to see the black-masked Anbu next to him, doing pretty much the same thing. Kakashi couldn't help but smile upon seeing the level both of maturity and skills that Naruto was able to reach in so little time. It seemed just yesterday that he was chosen to be the Jounin sensei of Team 7, and hearing the blonde screaming to the heavens everything that came out of his mouth. Right now, though, the blonde was anything but hyperactive. On the contrary, Naruto canalized his pent-up energy into chakra and is, then, able to withstand longer fights and long training regimes. Naruto, for his part, was filling up his canteen before he closed the bottle and went back to see how Kurenai was doing. Said woman was panting a lot from overexertion, but she knew following an Anbu team was hard work, so she didn't complain. Right now, she was massaging her legs a little bit, while waiting for her boyfriend to come back with some water for her. Upon looking up, she saw the black-masked Anbu approaching, before he stretched his arm, thus offering the woman some water, before settling down next to his girlfriend. "How are you feeling?" asked Naruto, to which Kurenai responded by saying that her legs stopped aching, but her chakra flow was unstable right now, which meant that she couldn't use it, otherwise it would be depleted soon enough. "Relax for a while, according to the fox, we are still maybe a couple of hours away from our destination, so we'll take another short stop before meeting with the Sanbi. Rest up a bit, Kir-chan," said Naruto, caressing her shoulders a little bit since he couldn't take off her mask, and got up to check on Bear and Hawk for a while. Even though he was the one guiding the team through their destination, Hawk was the team leader and captain, so he was calling the shots. Naruto arrived on what was some discussion between Bear and Hawk regarding their mission. Bear was about to reply what Hawk said about maybe encountering other enemy villages, before greeting Black Wolf. Black Wolf, me and Hawk take out here were discussing about our possible opposition in reaching the Sanbi. What are your thoughts about it?" asked the big-sized man, to which Naruto turned to think for a while, before responded. The call for help could only be heard from those of the beast's kind, hence how Kyuubi managed to hear it. Other than me, it's fair to say that other Jinchurikis must have heard it as well, so it wouldn't be a surprise if we encountered a Jinchuriki. The problem is, though, that is said Jinchuriki did the same thing as I did, then I guess his or her village would send ninja backup. Not only that, but if Akatsuki learned of the tailed beast's position, then we'd have to face them as well, stated Naruto before Kakashi arrived at the group and exposed his line of thought. "Our top priority is to battle Akatsuki, but should any other village appear, I also fear that they could attempt to use Sanbi as means to have a new Jinchuriki, and that is something we cannot allow. According to Black Wolf, the Sanbi is weak from using too much energy to escape their grasp, so it wouldn't be hard to use Fuinjutsu and seal him for good," explained Kakashi, to which the group nodded, before Naruto turned and walked up to Kurenai, before seating next to her once more. Although her mask was on, Naruto knew that something was up and couldn't shake the feeling that Kurenai was afraid of something. "What is in your mind, Kure-chan?" asked Naruto, to which Kurenai smiled behind her mask. She was really surprised that her boyfriend knew her so well, despite her face being covered by her mask. "I'm sure is nothing, don't worry about me. It's just that Bajas and Akatsuki sort of became a tough subject for me to handle. They are after you and I'm worried that something might happen. I don't want to lose you," said Kurenai, earning a sigh in worry from Naruto. He knew where this was coming from, since Akatsuki's drive was rather annoying to say the least, but he wanted to comfort his girlfriend enough that she feels safe around him, so he asked for her to cast a genjutsu on the both of them, so they could take face to face. Kurenai nodded and made a couple of hand seals before both Naruto and Kurenai became invisible, thus allowing them to remove their masks. Upon seeing Kurenai's face, Naruto's heart began to ache immediately. She was looking down and the sign of past tears was plainly visible. Naruto didn't want to lose her either, also he didn't want to see that face of hers ever again. It clutched his heart to allow indirectly be the cause of her sadness, and moved to give her a strong and comforting hug. Kurenai welcomed the hug and shoved her face on his chest. After the hug was over, Naruto moved to kiss her lips softly for a while, before looking at her red eyes and smiling. "Kurenai-chan, there is no kunai or powerful jutsu that could hurt me more than seeing you cry," said Naruto before he grabbed Kurenai's hands and looked at her eyes once more, before continuing. "My enemies, although powerful, doesn't even match the power of my allies. No matter what happens, I'll always come back for you," Red Rose finished Naruto before kissing her once again under the sunlight. Kurenai was always taken aback by how lovely her boyfriend is and how with just a few words, he could comfort her in more ways than no one ever did. In a moment, she felt silly for worrying too much and voiced it to Naruto. The blonde smiled in return and assured her to talk to him every time she need to. "I want to be there for you, Kurenai-chan," said Naruto, earning a nod from Kurenai before she hugged him once more and then got up from the ground. Once the genjutsu was dispelled, the group could see both Naruto and Kurenai there unharmed, so they were relieved. Before sensing Kurenai's chakra, both Hawk and Bear turned to see, but they were already gone. Kakashi, however, smiled at the scene played in front of him, since his Sharingan couldn't be fooled by the genjutsu. Naruto knew how to calm Kurenai down, he thought, and wondered about the couple's future. After everything was sorted up, the group initiated their course of action. Inside a cave Orochimaru, of course, wasn't known throughout the elemental nations as being a rather ruthless individual. So it was safe to say he didn't have any sort of attachment to anyone. He was staring at the body of his second-in-command Yakushi Kabuto, completely trashed with marks that came from what seemed to be a lightning attack. From the spy he sent to check on his experiments with the cursed seal, he came to know that Kabuto's corpse was located inside a huge crater, and Orochimaru wondered which attack would be potent enough to kill Kabuto as well as dig so deep the land. It wouldn't matter though, as Orochimaru had some ideas about how to use Kabuto's healing ability and finally perfect the cursed seal level 3. The only goddamn problem was finding a new host for him, though. The last time he had to switch was over 2.5 years ago, so he'd have to find someone worthy to do it, so that he could attempt to finalize the operation on advancing his ultimate creation, the cursed seal. The man did have the courtesy to curse, though, as his top subjects were utterly destroyed by what seemed to be ninjas from Konoha, and after Orochimaru heard the spy's info, he seriously wondered if the Anbu was responsible. Surprisingly, Orochimaru was made aware of one Anbu team being able to accomplish quite many things together, and one of them was defeating Akatsuki member Hoshikage Kasami. Orochimaru even knew that Itachi chose to flee at the time, and that was saying something. Just thinking about the elder Uchiha made the snake face snarl in anger. The Sharingan was his ultimate goal, and when Itachi joined Akatsuki, Orochimaru once tried to possess the Jujutsu, however he couldn't do squat against the Ukka's unlimited potential in Genjutsu, which in turn trapped Orochimaru in place, stopping him for whatever moves he intended at the time. Orochimaru thought about using Sasuke once again, but then remembered not sensing his cursed seal being used at all after the damn Kyuubi brat managed to take him away. It was like Sasuke managed, somehow, to suppress the will of the cursed seal and learned to control his emotions, which in turn stopped the fuel for the cursed seal. Few actually knew this, but the secret of the cursed seal is that it was to be fed with negative emotions, such as anger, insecurity and hatred. That's why Sasuke couldn't get rid of the cursed seal before, from being so focused on hatred and anger towards Itachi, hence feeding the seal every time. The snake face, even with all his wisdom, was acknowledging his lack of options right now. He was now alone to do everything since Kabuto passed away, and he didn't yet have a suitable body to pass on to in 6 months. No matter, though, the man's drive was too much to simply give up now. He knew it would be a long shot, but if he manages to complete the Curse Seal level 3, then he could find a suitable body for him in order to either steal Itachi or Sasuke's Sharingan. And Konoha . In Konoha, more precisely the Anbu HQ, 2 of their members were fighting each other. Shino and Shikamaru, after their fight against Naruto, started evaluating their techniques and how much they could improve them. Shikamaru remembered about how Naruto managed to get passed by his shadow and went to ask his father about creating ramifications for the shadow possession technique. Needless to say, his father was impressed and immediately taught his son how to do such advanced shadow manipulation, which in turn was called Kage no Jutsu, shadow sewing jutsu. Shika also remembered how much chakra he had to endure for the Kage Bunshin and wondered what he could do to increase his chakra reserves. Shino, for his part, concluded that his speed in ninjutsu must be refined. Between making the needed hand seals for the technique and its execution, Shino lost precious time and thus allowing Naruto to see the technique being created and also allowing him room to dodge. The 2 of them were now on straight taijutsu match in hopes of raising their stamina and increasing the force of the blows. Another thing about Naruto's fight was that each punch or kick that Naruto hit them with were more like being hit by a ton of bricks, so they wondered if Naruto's ability to use chakra isn't suited only for ninjutsu and genjutsu, but also for taijutsu. For once, his agility rose tenfold when he applied chakra for better propulsion. "Say, Shino, what don't we change into ninjutsu training?" asked Shikamaru, earning a nod from Shino, who in turn began making hand seals for a technique he learned from the library. "Reton Ikazaki Nami, lightning release, thunder wave jutsu," said Shino as he released the attack on Shikamaru, before seeing the Nara air jump, thus dodging the incoming wave, before making hand seals on the air for Suton, Suigadon no Jutsu, water release, water fang jutsu. The attack was charging quickly against Shino, who in turn used his clan technique, called Mushikade no Jutsu, insect wall jutsu, which consisted of his bugs surrounding the Aburame, flying at incredible speeds, thus forming a protective vortex. The technique blocked the water attack, but Shikamaru didn't have to guess the next attack and moved for an attack on his own. Just after landing on the ground, Shikamaru made a large series of hand seals for Suton Suiryuden no Jutsu, water release, water dragon jutsu, before sending the humongous water dragon at Shino. The bug stopped the wall and returned to Shino, so he was too damn late to raise any defense, thus resorting to academy-level evasion technique using his bugs as decoy. After Shino escaped the technique, he began some hand seals once more, this time for the first technique he learned called Reton, Rakurai no Jutsu, lightning release, thunderbolt jutsu, before he sent the lightning attack straight at Shikamaru. The technique was too fast to dodge in time, so Shikamaru used the water barrier and let the lightning be conducted up to where the barrier was formed, thus leaving him out of harm's way. Right after the water barrier, Shikamaru kneeled on the ground panting hard. He had been training non-stop in taijutsu, so even if he only used 3 or 4 jutsus, he was, of course, tired. Shino was as well, since he was in the same boat as Shikamaru. Plus the fact that his hive absorbed some of his chakra from time to time, so it was safe to say he felt depleted right now. Nevertheless, Shino knew his ninjutsu improved and that his speed with seals doubled since last time. "I think it would be better to just rest a little bit. My chakra is nearly depleted and we have a mission in about 2 hours," said Shino, earning a nod from Shikamaru, who in turn lied down for a while and looked up in order to see the clouds, but instead all he could find was the place's ceiling. "I kind of miss watching the clouds. This Anbu job takes a lot out of me, so troublesome. How can Naruto do it and still have time for other stuff?" thought Shikamaru as he closed his eyes for a second and recollected his fight against the blonde. Naruto pretty much beat the crap out of him, and he was only limited to taijutsu. The Nair couldn't help but flinch from wondering about Naruto's ninjutsu. Shikamaru sighed in dismay, thinking about how tough it must be to fight someone like Naruto and wondered if he would get to face such opponents on Anbu missions. Both he and Shino were more reserved shinobi, not focusing much on brute strength, but instead focusing in the art of deception. In a one-on-one fight, they were nearly unstoppable, but against a group, he wouldn't be able to do much. Naruto, on the other hand, had both the chakra, capacity and the technique necessary to deal with not only groups of people, but also individual fights, hence why Shikamaru believed that Naruto to be one of the best shinobis within Konoha. He could just hope that things wouldn't be too hard to control and that his life could go on without much troublesome situations. Shino, for his part, wondered about the blonde as well as his abilities so far. Shino believed himself to be on par with what the Anbu could throw at him. He had his bugs to aid him, plus his Raton abilities really helped. Nevertheless, he felt that Naruto was so far up his level that the bug user often wondered if Naruto really was the one that graduated together with. His power was higher than most Jounins around and even his genjutsu ability was top-notch. Not to mention that Naruto's ninja abilities, such as infiltration, were out of this world. Shino remembered Naruto's Anbu Jounin test and how tough it was to complete it. The bug user oftentimes wondered if he would be able to complete a task where he wasn't allowed to use chakra at all. Just as other of Konoha's clans, Shino just couldn't suppress his chakra because of the Kaikeyaku bugs inside of him. I wonder if I'll ever reach your level, Naruto. With Naruto and company . Jumping through the trees, Naruto warned Hawk of their proximity to the target. Hawk nodded and ordered everyone to stop for a while and gather their energy in order to fight any eventual opposition. The group nodded and rested for a while, with each of them sitting on the ground and having a conversation with each other in order to pass the time a little bit. A few distance away from the target, Naruto could already hear Sanbi screaming of some language inside his head, but since he didn't understand a word of what he was saying, he waited for Kyubi to translate. "We are close. He can already feel my presence, so he's greeting me in demon language." He also said that the ones that captured him would certainly send in one member to try and capturing him again, however he warned us to speed things up, because it would take a while for his energy to come back and he doesn't know if he could hold his own against this group, translated Kyubi, though Naruto could hear the fox mumbling about how much of a coward the other demon was. How much energy he must have used that he is taking so long to recover? Asked Naruto, though he heard Kyubi give him a snort in amusement, making it sound like a stupid question to ask. "Our energy doesn't need time to recover, fool. For Sanbi to take this long to recover, it means that in order to escape Akatsuki, he must have sacrificed something. For us demons, our power is measured by the number of our tails. The turtle has 3 tails, however we can sacrifice one of our tails in favor of using momentary strength burst. My best guess is that he did just that," explained Kyubi, earning a nod from Naruto, who, after closing his eyes, was back to real world, looking at the group talking about how to approach the beast. Kakashi, because of the Sharingan, acknowledged Naruto's inner communication with the demon and asked him about what the fox said. "We are close, the lake is a few miles north from here, but I have to approach the lake alone, I'm afraid," said Naruto, earning looks of worry from the others, before he explained better. Sanbi is rather afraid of enemy, trying to capture him again, since he's low on energy right now. Therefore, he'll only make himself visible if Kyubi approaches. Sanbi can feel the fox inside of me, so if I approach him, he'll show up. However, if all of you stand before me, he will keep hiding until I'm to be left alone," explained Naruto, earning a nod from those present, before Hawk stated that they will be guarding Black Wolf from the shore. "In case of any trouble, he will use his intercom and call us," stated Hawk. Minutes later, the group got up once more and charged towards their destination. With Akatsuki . Zetsu was considered to be the best tracker in all of the elemental nations. With his ability to travel below the ground and through the trees, he could be anywhere instantly. Also, he had the ability to trace chakra from a considerable distance, so it wouldn't be hard to track a fleeing tailed beast. However, as best as his abilities of tracking, apparently Sanbi holds the same mastery in hiding. So far, the half-plant half-human shinobi couldn't find trace of the demons, chakra or anything that could lead to his whereabouts. He was about to change directions when he sensed up to 10 chakra signatures heading towards the same distance. He could feel that all 10 of the chakra signatures were high Jounin level and immediately began to process the information. Zetsu wasn't ignorant to the fact that tailed beasts were, and still are, every hidden village's dream to control. So it wouldn't surprise the veteran shinobi if he encountered either one of the 5 hidden villages attempting to seal the Sanbi inside a born child to serve the respective village. Of course, Zetsu considered going back to the hideout and express this new discovery simply because extracting the demon out of the Jinchuriki was much easier than sealing the demon itself. Nonetheless, Zetsu pretty much knew that he just couldn't assume things, simply because of his sensory perception. He was still due to consider that just like he was in trouble finding the demon, then the other presences share the same predicament. After all, being an S-ranked shinobi, there wasn't many with that could rival his abilities. Sinking below the ground once again, Zetsu traveled towards the destination in order to scout the enemy's intentions. With Naruto . As Naruto and gang traveled towards the destination, Kyuubi was getting more uneasy by the second. It was the same time when Naruto went face to face with Gaara and Naruto feared the encounter of another Jinchuriki. Naruto strived to become a strong shinobi, but he refused to rely on Kyuubi's chakra to win battles. However, while he was denying his inner demon, there was a slight chance that his counterpart doesn't think the same way, which would get the team in whole lot of trouble. Trouble would be an understatement, I'm afraid. If the one I'm sensing is who I think it is, you won't be able to beat him. Without my aid, talked Kyuubi for the first time, speaking with Naruto casually. Which demon are you talking about? Asked Naruto before Kyuubi explained. The only one besides me who wasn't captured yet. The Hachibai, 8 tails, although less powerful than me by a slow margin, can easily kill everyone by simply lifting one of his tails. The good news is that he's not as bloodthirsty as I am, explained Kyuubi, though Naruto was not satisfied with what was about to happen. So, you mean to tell me that 3-tailed beasts will have a little reunion? What are the odds of a full-out confrontation between me and the Hachibai Jinchuriki? Asked Naruto, though slightly afraid of the answer. Just don't piss him off and maybe he won't resort to using the Hachibi's power. However, if he's 100% dependent on the demon, well, safe to say you're screwed, stated Kyuubi, earning a sigh in dismay from Naruto, who in the real world looked at Kurenai and was instantly worried about her well-being. Man, it was a bad decision to come here. Maybe it isn't. It all depends on the Jinchuriki's state of mind, said Kyuubi, earning a look in more disappointment from Naruto, who was still due to meet one Jinchuriki in their right state of mind, or at least kept their respective sanity. Gaara was a lunatic that happened to kill with the purpose of confirming his existence. Somehow, Naruto was relieved upon not knowing any other Jinchuriki besides the now Keisuke, so he at least hoped beyond hope that the Hachibai Jinchuriki wouldn't be controlled by his or her demon. I believe it's better to let your team know of this and make the right decision, advised Kyuubi, to which Naruto nodded and told everything to his team. Kurenai flinched at the mention of facing another Jinchuriki, but the rest of them began to process the information from a professional point of view. It would be safe to assume that the Hachibai Jinchuriki came accompanied by backup, just as we're accompanying Naruto, so if we reach our destination, we'll have to engage them, and Black Wolf, you'd have to face the Jinchuriki. I'm sorry about it, but in terms of power, you'd be the only one who could match him. We'll deal with the remaining opposition, ordered Hawk, earning a nod from the group. After a few more minutes, the Konoha group arrived in what seemed to be a lake surrounded by heavy mist, thus blocking the view entirely. Kakashi, with his Sharingan, noticed something weird with the mist. It appeared that a large genjutsu was casted throughout the area, so anyone could fall for the illusion. Be careful with this mist, everyone. My Sharingan detects a large genjutsu affecting this area, said Kakashi, while looking around the site in order to find the opposition. Naruto, for his part, offered to blow the mist away with a jutsu, but Hawk advised otherwise. It would alert the enemy to our presence, therefore they needed to approach with caution and not be influenced by the illusion mist. After a few steps towards the lake, the members were all caught in the illusion, but none of them thought highly of it and continued to walk towards the lake, where, according to the fox, there is where Sanbi would be expecting Naruto. Looking back at his comrades, Naruto saw Kakashi and Kurenai nod for him to continue his path and have a chat with the turtle. However, just as he was about to place his right foot on the water, he heard the sound of shurikens flying and jumped backwards in time to avoid it. Landing next to his team, the Konoha's team were surprised to face what appeared to be 6 members of Kumo's Thunder Anbu team. QB did already pointed out the Hachibai, Jinchuriki and Naruto looked to see a rather big man, roughly the size of bear, and Naruto was unnerved to see not 1 but 8 swords strapped to the man's body. As if the whole team knew who the man was, everyone was focusing on the Anbu's 8 swords as well as the fact that his chakra had a different feeling that of those around him. What's the meaning of this attack? Attacking a ninja from another village can lead to war, shouted Hawk, but none of the Kumo nin said anything until the one with the 8 swords approached and stood face to face with the black-masked Anbu. And I don't have a clue on how to create rap lines, so I will save the readers from my pathetic attempts at doing so. Naruto just stood there, unmoving. He wasn't afraid of the enemy, instead just watching his every move and analyzes him if possible. The man was collected, so Naruto presumed he was in control of his actions. The swords alone were already intimidating, but Naruto had the mask to hide his anxiety. I've already seen you before, but I can't quite put it. Your mask is familiar, though, said the big man, but Naruto didn't say anything. It was better for his foe not to know about his reputation as well as his abilities. I'm just a junior Anbu member, sir. And I believe my commander here is waiting for an answer as to why your team deliberately attacked us, stated Naruto, before looking at Hawk and giving him a nod to confirm it. The Hachibai Jinchuriki was intrigued. He knew he saw that mask somewhere, but he couldn't remember. Also, there was the fact that he felt a familiar presence inside the guy and wondered if he was exactly like him. It was at this point that he remembered seeing the newest additions to Kumo's bingo book, and he saw what appeared to be a black-masked Anbu from Konoha, stating that the man was responsible for killing one fair share of Kumo nins and was ranked as a B-ranked shinobi, with the order to kill in sight. Ah, now I know where I saw you, Konoha's Shippo Okami, Hurricane Wolf. I'm kind of disappointed, though I expected someone rather taller and more aggressive, stated the Anbu, making Naruto flinch at being caught, and silently cursed Tsunade for inventing the goddamn nickname. I guess is no use hiding that fact from you, is there? However, you are still due to respond my commander's question, stated Naruto, now being ready for an eventual battle. The man for his part turned to his associates and nodded. Oh, nothing major really. Our objective here is of no concern to Konoha, and as for attacking you, I kind of felt like it, said the man before doing a backflip and throwing all his swords up to the air in unison. That was the signal for attacking, and the Kumo's Thunder Anbu took of their swords as well and fell into a fighting stance. I'll take the big one, you guys scramble with the others. Stay with dog, please, said Naruto as he began a series of hand seals. Foden de Tapa, wind release, great breakthrough jutsu. The group, afterwards, scattered and each went against one of them. The Kumo nins didn't have the time to move before the huge gust of wind sent them flying, well, except for the one who recognized him as he stood there. Naruto smirked, thought, as the man's swords weren't as heavy as him, so they were sent flying as well. Somehow, I got the feeling that you're the most dangerous of the group, said Naruto as he took his ninja toe and positioned himself for the battle. The man smiled behind his mask and knew the meaning behind this foe's words. I know you don't know me, and only those within Kumo's village knows of my condition. Besides them, the only one who could spot what I carry inside of me could only be another with the same condition, isn't that right, Jinchuriki? Asked the man, earning a nod from Naruto. I kind of figured that another one would come for the Sanbi, but I never would believe to meet the Hachibai Jinchuriki in person. It's really a pleasure, said Naruto, as he charged the enemy with superior speed, surprising the enemy, who in turn managed to collect one of his swords and managed to block the incoming attack before watching the blonde use his footing to stop the movement and eye the opponent. I must applaud you regarding your sword ability. You sure take care of it a lot to be able to move like that. I really wanted for my students to move as gracefully as you do, but unfortunately I have my 8 swords now and you only have 1. No one can beat the 8, said the enemy, before charging Naruto this time. However, instead of slicing Naruto's body entirely, the Kumo nin passed by him as if the man was transparent. Naruto didn't want to waste this opportunity and used the lake near him as a weapon. After a large series of hand seals for Suton Suiryunin no Jutsu, Water Release Water Dragon Jutsu, one large water dragon came out of the water and charged towards Naruto's enemy. The enemy for his turn looked up only to see the huge water dragon approaching and placed his arms in front of him in order to brace the impact. Naruto didn't rest though, he knew the man wouldn't be defeated like this and stood ready for a possible attack. True to his worries, the enemy appeared right next to him with an inhuman speed and began spinning with his 8 swords before Naruto substituted himself with a nearby stone which was sliced in multiple pieces. You have the skills, I give you that. But you can't hope to beat me without using your demon's power. Only one truly tuned with his demon would be able to go on par with me. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Hachikura, brother of the current Raikage and Jinchuriki of the Hachibuyan now, your executioner, stated Kira, to which Naruto nodded and presented himself. I have no desire of telling you my name, since it would be irrelevant at this point, and I'm the Jinchuriki of the Kyubi no Yoko, said Naruto, though wanting to see the man's face when he realizes that his demon was far more powerful than the Hachibai. Kira, true to Naruto's words, stiffened a bit. True, he was tuned with his demon and all, but Kyubi had 9 tails of power while the Hachibai had 8. Surely, he was in disadvantage. Inside his mind, Kira could only listen. This boy speaks the truth, I can feel Kyubi-sama's presence within him, even if it's not being used at the moment. Perhaps would be wise to deal with him without my aid, stated the Hachibai before Kira protested. Fool, you damn well know that Kyubi is stronger than me, and also should we battle, this world or at least a very large area would cease to exist. Therefore, we cannot confront each other, said Hachibai, earning a nod from Kira. It seems that my demon is a little bit reluctant to lend me his power, no matter though, I'll beat you and bring your head to Kumo. Also, since I'm unable to use my demon, you must have the same restriction, said Kira, earning a nod from Naruto. Unlike you, I'm not reliant on my demon, let's see who is the better, Anbu, said Naruto before vanishing once again, using chakra to increase the speed of his movements. As he approached, Kira used 4 of his swords for defensive, however Naruto wasn't stupid as to attack with his sword alone, so he focused wind chakra and channeled through the metal, thus increasing the power of the attack. The impact between Naruto's sword and Kira's 4 echoed throughout the entire area, and Kira was surprised to see that Naruto's attack required all 4 of them to defend. I believe that the bingo book underestimated you a little bit, Anbu. I believe I have to go tough on you, said Kira, before throwing his swords up once again and positioning his body as to position his swords between every joint in his body and 2 in his hands. This is my perfect stance, there is no attack that could penetrate nor defense that could uphold my attacks, prepare yourself, said Kira, before vanishing and appearing right in front of Naruto instantly. The blonde for his part was taken by surprise and barely managed to avoid being sliced, however he suffered 2 cuts on his left arm, thus stopping him from using Kenjutsu. Placing the sword on his back, Naruto began to make some hand seals before whispering Foten no Tatsumeki, Wind Release, Tornado Tunnel Jutsu. Kira noticed the hurricane forming, but rather instead of going up, it was moving straight forward. Kira never knew of this wind technique, and safe to say, he never stood up to a tornado like this before. As the attack approached, Kira began spinning his body, thus using the sword's movements to block the incoming wind. When the attack landed, though, Kira was taken aback by the difference. While in a normal hurricane only a part of the hurricane would hit, whereas now, Kira had to defend himself against an entire tornado. Naruto for his part knew of a tornado's weakness. If the opponent possessed enough knowledge, he could alter the hurricane's direction, thus making it go another way, so Naruto used his creation, since it would be impossible for this Kira to stop the entire force of the hurricane. True enough, Kira was doing everything he could to get rid of the hurricane and was cursing himself for underestimating the technique and taking it head-on. He was getting tired of this damn technique and immediately used Hachibi's chakra and disrupted the attack. Naruto found this opportunity to be rather surprising. I thought it was you who said not to use our demon's power, said Naruto as he saw the slightly similar aura surround Kira's body. The man snarled at his counterpart. Naruto was there crossing his arms in a real attempt to mock the opponent. Tell me something, why didn't you embrace your demon? Without it, we are just like everybody else, don't you want to be special, shouted Kira, earning a look in wonder from Naruto. Why was the man so focused on knowing this? I don't know how hard it was for you growing up, but I can tell you for sure that being a Jinchuriki doesn't make you special, not in the least. On the contrary, they are ostracized since birth for something he or she didn't cause it. I happen to be an example of that, as was the Jinchuriki of the one-tailed demon Shikaku. Our childhood was anything but ordinary. People look at you with so much anger on their faces, and no matter what you do, you'll end up being the village's scapegoat for all the damage Kyuubi himself inflicted on Konoha almost 17 years ago. Jinchuriki are known to be each village's most prized weapon, and they seek to capture the demons and control them. It takes a lot of determination not to be controlled by the demon inside of you. Every night, I would wake up in the middle of the night, sweating in fear from sights of destruction and blood that happened to be caused by the same demon whose home is inside your belly, explained Naruto, earning looks of total shock by Kira. This was not his life at all. Kira always had at least someone to look out for him, and never once did people look at him with hate while growing up. He at some point believed that was all because of the fact that his brother was next in line for the Raikage's position, but seeing another Jinchuriki, explaining a life completely different than his, he could understand why this fellow wouldn't rely on the Kyuubi for power. The demon fox, of course, made his life a living hell. But Naruto wasn't done explaining. Nevertheless, while I don't embrace its power, that doesn't mean I didn't take responsibility for what happened to the village. For numerous times, I faced on my free will the punishment that the shinobis back home wanted to inflict at Kyuubi. I took them all without even a blink. Kyuubi is, after all, a part of my being, no matter how much people I care about say otherwise. No matter what I do, he will always be around, so it would be worthless to deny it, said Naruto, earning a nod in astonishment from Kira. What are you telling me this? You don't even know me, asked Kira, before looking intently at Naruto's mask to study the man's eyes, but surprisingly, no sadness reaction were visible. Kira expected this man to open up his life and then begin crying, but instead, Naruto's eyes were as passive as a trained shinobi was during a mission. I just wanted to show you why I don't intend to use the Kyuubi's chakra, and while he's a part of my being, I don't have to rely on him to win battles. I have my own strength to deal with Konoha's enemies, explained Naruto. Kira couldn't help but smile at the man in front of him. Hearing the man's history, one could presume that he became as evil as the devil inside of him, but no. Naruto was not strong physically but in spirit as well. This fight was over. There wasn't any reason to fight in the first place. Their mission was to talk to the Sanbi, and that was all. You earned my respect, Anbu-san. I never thought to hear a guy with such strong resolution. My quarrel with you was only for pure pride of my abilities. As to why I'm here, I think we share the same mission, said Kira, to which Naruto nodded, before hearing something. Naruto, be aware, I sense some high chakra signature nearby, and it certainly resembles one from Akatsuki, said Kyuubi. Kira, I'm afraid we have to deal with a common enemy. Kyuubi said to me that someone from Akatsuki is observing us. Could you help me deal with this guy? Asked Naruto, to which Kira nodded, before using Hachibi's power to further improve his senses. Immediately, his eyesight was improved, and he could very well see the black robe with red clouds looking at them. Before we do this, how can I address you? Asked Kira, to which Naruto smirked, and asked to be called Black Wolf. Okay, Black Wolf, a few miles that way is a guy that looks like a giant plant. He happens to be using their clothes, said Kira, earning a nod from Naruto, who explained his plan. With Zetsu . The giant plant man got somehow lucky that he managed to spot the Hachibi's vessel. Apparently, he was an Anbu from Kumo and was fighting an Anbu from Konoha. He couldn't be too close to hear the conversation from fear of being discovered. But the fact remained that he found the Hachibi and would do everything to capture him for the group. Suddenly, Zetsu felt the use of chakra nearby and got ready for everything. He didn't know he could be traced, but he was prepared to defend himself if needed be. Looking around, he realized much too late that he was being trapped inside a minor genjutsu that would change his surroundings, hence the fact that when Naruto appeared behind him, Zetsu was actually seeing a couple of foes in front of him approaching. Naruto, seeing the opportunity to once again use his illusion fist style, focused chakra to his feet and slammed it on Zetsu's back, thus sending him flying towards the lake where Naruto and Kira were fighting earlier. Zetsu, though, being the experienced shinobi he was, used the momentum and flipped his body in order to land safely on the ground. However, before he could actually land, a giant hand suddenly grabbed him and lifted the whole way up for Setsu to be face to face with the Hachibai himself. So, I was meaning to get my hand on at least one of you weaklings. You're unlucky since I'm happen to be herbivore, therefore I normally feed myself from plants, said the Hachibai, before placing the unfortunate S-ranked missing nin inside his mouth before eating the damn plant. Meanwhile, both Naruto and Kira were looking at the hug demon as he killed one of the Akatsuki in the worst way possible. Just after the demon swallowed, it vanished and returned inside Kira. Seconds before everyone appeared once again, panting from extreme exhaustion. Both sides were pretty much even, and no one would land a decent blow on the other. Both the groups decided to join forces with their missing members, however all of them looked that their missing members were crossing their arms while just talking. Black Wolf, what's the meaning of this? He is our enemy, shouted Hawk, slightly agitated that Black Wolf was just standing there while he and the others were doing the fighting. However, he saw that while Naruto's Anbu armor was unscathed, he couldn't say the same for Kira. Sorry Hawk Takao, we engaged against one another in battle, however I'm afraid Akatsuki decided to meddle in our fight, hence why we stopped and took care of him, said Naruto like it was nothing. However, the shock of his words soon was visible and everyone began questioning how and who. I don't know who the guy was or what his name was. What I do know is that he appeared to be like a plant and was spying on us, and he was a missing nin from Kusa. I managed to see his crossed hitai. Well, long story short, my friend here ate the damn plant and is now digesting it as we speak, explained Naruto, earning laughter from Kira and a look of disgust from Kurenai. So, after calming the group down, Kira explained to the Konoha nins that he was here to talk with the Sanbi, since the turtle called into him for help. Naruto chose not to reveal that he was here for the same thing from fear of exposing his position as Jinchuriki, so he explained that Konoha's mission was to do some recon of this area, and blamed the heavy mist as the reason. Naruto's team were highly experienced and knew not to contradict him, and Kira, having already heard Naruto's plea not to divulge his vessel, nodded in understanding. The group of Kumo nin said for Kira to step things up with his objective while they would be resting a bit on their camp they made not so far, so Naruto was relieved as hell since he couldn't go with Kira to meet the Sanbi. Looking at one another, Naruto and Kira nodded and walked towards the lake in order to meet up with the three-tailed demon while Naruto's group stood guard at the lakeshore. After a while of walking, both Kira and Naruto felt the strong presence before the entire lake began to glow a golden color. Both of them were startled at first, but their respective demons calmed them, saying that the turtle was just coming out of hiding. Looking from above, only Naruto and Kira were visible. However, a sudden shadow below the water appeared small and begins growing as it was submerging. It wasn't long until the turtle's body became fully submerged, and he was facing both Naruto and Kira. Greetings, Kyubi-sama, Hachibai-sama, stated Sanbi, before the images of both the 8-tailed ox and the 9-tailed fox appeared, behind their respective Jinchurikis. Chapter 17, Akatsuki's Secret. Beta, Dreech. Although Sanbi did greet the Kyubi and the Hachibai, the scene could be better described as Sanbi facing Naruto and Hachikira. The demon was speaking to the two of them, but he was referring to their inside demons since they were able to communicate freely. Because of that, Naruto and Kira ended up being only the ones who brought their demons for a little conversation. As he heard Kyubi speaking in mind in some random language he never heard of, he instantly assumed it was what the fox had referred to as demon language. Having nothing to do but wait, Naruto wondered how his team fared against Kumo's Thunder Anbu team. You know, since we have nothing to do but wait, we could talk for a little while. What do you say? I'm most interested to get to know a fellow Anbu Jinchuriki. There aren't many left these days, you know, asked Kira as he turned to Naruto and adjusted one of his sword's handles from blinding his vision a bit. Naruto looked at the man and wondered a bit. He wanted to be quiet for a while as he heard the demons talking, but seeing as the man did propose some side activity to pass the time, he guessed he could grant him a couple of words. The truth of the matter was that Naruto had only met one Jinchuriki before, and it was Gaara of the Sand. He heard of one Jinchuriki in Kumo, who happened to be captured by the Akatsuki, but that was about it. Maybe it would be good to get to know a second person who happened to share the same fate as him. I guess we can talk for a while. I never knew that demons talked so much and it quite freaked me out as well, said Naruto, earning a snicker from Kira, followed by three demons grumbling before returning to their conversation. I'm very curious as to the treatment you received in Konoha as a Jinchuriki. In Kumo, there was another one like us, but unfortunately she was captured. Nevertheless, both she and I weren't as badly treated as you were. Why is that? Asked Kira before looking as the blonde furrowed his head in thought. I guess how the Hachibai appeared in Kumo isn't in any way similar to how Kyuubi did. 17 years ago the fox was responsible for almost leveling the entire village. He killed many, both civilians and shinobi, and, by consequence, all of their families who mourned their deaths developed a deep and subconscious hatred for the fox. If they had known that the fourth Hokage killed the beast instead of sealing it inside me, I might have had a normal life. Or at least the normal life of an orphan, as I never knew my parents. They died just not long after I was born. As a result of these events, I was treated as the village's scapegoat for all their subconscious rage and anger, explained Naruto before he continued. Ah, you said that in Kumo there was another one like us? Tell me something about her. I heard rumors about Kumo having the Nibi as well? Asked Naruto, to which Kira nodded and began to explain. Uchiha ni was considered the best kunoichi that ever joined Kumo's ranks. Of course, her demon Nibi no Nikomoto was a serving demon, so it loaned the energy whenever Uchiha needed it. The Yondaime Reikage trained us from the beginning to deal with life and death situations, thus sending us on A to S ranked missions all the time. She was an orphan just like you, but the Reikage acted both as her teacher and her caretaker. In the end though, she was up against two of the Akatsuki and was easily captured for unknown reasons. She was a kunoichi with much promise, but unfortunately they caught her and captured the Nibi, thus killing her as a result. Said Kira, though Naruto could sense the last part was spoken with clear sadness, which meant that he was close to this Uchiha. You sound as the two of you were close to each other, asked Naruto, earning a sad nod from Kira. We were promised to each other, since birth, for marriage. Although it would be a forced marriage, in theory, both of us fell in love with each other as time passed. I still remember the last thing she said to me before I went on a mission. Said Kira as he remembered what happened. Flashback on. The sun in Kumo was almost setting and both Kira and Ni were sitting on top of the Thunder Cage's monument located at the highest mountain in a similar way to Konoha. Uchiha was resting her head on Kira's shoulder with her eyes closed and a smile on face. The scene couldn't be more perfect to her. They were scheduled to get married in a week from today, and while it was already settled before they became shinobis, both of them longed for the day to come. Suddenly a Chunin arrived and called Kira for a meeting with the Reikage for a mission towards the capital city of Lightning Country. Kira nodded sadly and awakened his soon-to-be wife, who had dozed off, to tell her the news. When he left her in her house, she called him and spoke. Come back safe, my love. When you return from your mission, we'll be able to live our lives with happiness and my heart will, for the first time, feel true warmth of being loved, said Uchiha after they shared a kiss. At the time Kira smiled and promised to come back to her no matter what. He didn't know, however, that this was be the last time he would see his beloved and soon-to-be wife. Flashback off. After I came back from my mission, the Yondaime Reikage gave me the news of Uchiha's capture by Akatsuki. It took my brother, the Godaime Reikage, and a couple of my Anbu team to keep me from releasing the Hachibai and destroying the entire Hokage tower. It didn't matter though, as my dear Uchiha was dead, and I wouldn't see her again, explained Kira before looking to the lake water and saw the reflection of Uchiha smiling at him. Naruto could sympathize with the man. Even if the woman of his dreams wasn't dead, he had felt like he lost her when he saw Kurenai together with Asuma. Naruto was afraid to imagine what he would do if he knew Kurenai passed away. I'm terribly sorry for your loss. I have a girlfriend in Konoha and I care for her a lot. I wouldn't know what to do if she suffered the same fate as your beloved Uchiha. May Kami have her soul right now, said Naruto, earning an appreciated nod from Kira. After hearing Naruto's words, Kira couldn't help but smile upon hearing that at least the Kyuubi Jinchuriki found happiness in his life. However, the fact remained that he missed his wife and nothing would change that. It's good to hear you found someone. My advice to you is to protect her at all times and do not let her go. Trust me, The pain I felt for losing her doesn't even compare to the pain I felt for not being able to do anything to prevent it from happening, said Kira, earning a nod from Naruto, who knew about this all too well. For all the power both you and I have because of our inner demons, and to not being able to save those you care for is the most brutal punishment anyone in our position could receive. Because of my position back in the village, I could count with both my hands the number of people who don't hold a grudge against what I carry inside me, and if I was unable to save these precious few, then I would rather kill myself, because the pain would be unbearable, explained Naruto. Kira was beginning to lose control of his emotions and instantly blocked everything. Uchido's death hurt him a lot, and he just knew that he wouldn't get over it anytime soon. Anbu-san, for the sake of my insanity, I'd rather stop talking about my beloved Uchido. I'm not prepared to deal with this yet. Now, tell me something. Your fighting skills were very impressive back there. I was wondering about that speed of yours. You must have trained really hard, asked Kira, to which Naruto nodded and explained. Having an abundance of chakra to use, I can channel large portions of chakra and channel it through my legs, earning the necessary propulsion. Not to mention those damn weights I had to get used to. What about you? I never saw anyone using 8 swords at the same time before. Why use so many? Asked Naruto, though this time, he wondered if he was asking confidential information to the man. After all, a ninja's best ally is his secrets. Kira, however, didn't believe so, as he explained about the 8 style of kenjutsu that he invented with the aid of his inner demon, who happened to be the 8-tailed demon. Naruto learned that it took Kira nearly 4 years to develop the style into perfection, and until today, no one managed to face him in battle and not get sliced like a lemon because of it. You know, I once defeated one of the legendary swordsmen of the mist. Kasami, I think was his name. It happened about 10 years ago while he was still a member of Mist's ranks. His same hata wasn't powerful enough to hold against my 8 swords. I'll tell you though, that shark was one tough opponent to beat, not to mention that it wasn't a complete win, since I had to flee with my team back then, but it was a nice fight, though, said Kira as he remembered that shark-like sword, almost shattering his swords. Naruto too remembered engaging Kasami along with Hawk. Kasami was indeed a worthy opponent. It took me and another Anbu to take him down, said Naruto, quite expecting Kira to break his neck from turning so fast, but instead the man just slowly turned and looked at him in wonder before Naruto explained. Kasami was from the same group as that plant guy we beat was. He and his partner, Uchiha Itachi, came looking for me in hopes of capturing the fox. However, they had to face Konoha Anbu's finest, hence how we managed to kill Kasami. Itachi, however, escaped our clutches, explained Naruto, earning a nod from Kira before the fox called their attention. Naruto, our conversation is over, and Sanbi here has news regarding the technique behind the demon extraction seal. It consists of a fuinjutsu technique that requires 9 sources of power to extract the demon at the same time. What Sanbi didn't mention is that even with some of the members dead, they can still continue with the procedure, explained QB, earning a thinking pose from Naruto and Kira. Naruto was considering the information known so far and tried to assimilate everything. It required 9 sources of chakra to maintain the sealing technique, but if more than half of the members are dead, then how would they be able to extract demons? Suddenly Kira voiced his thoughts. I couldn't say I met all of them to verify some pattern, but the plant guy, named Zetsu, wore a ring with a kanji engraved on it. There is a possibility that each member wears one different, and those rings, together, are responsible for the technique, advised Kira before Naruto continued the line of thought. If that's true, then I believe Konoha may be of assistance, said Naruto, earning the attention of Kira and the voices of 3 demons asking what he talking about. Naruto remembered that Kaisam's body was still due to be analyzed before being sent to Kiri for the bounty on his head. So the ring must still be on Kaisam's body. One of their members was killed by Anbu forces some time ago, and I happen to know it would take a while to examine him before sending his head to Kiri for the bounty. His ring must still be attached to his hand. I bet Jiraiya could analyze it and finish the missing piece of their technique, explained Naruto. Kira and the demons acknowledged that possibility, and the demons now considered meeting once more in the future to discuss further developments. Sanbi was to hide at the bottom of the lake until told otherwise, and Naruto and Kira would return to their home villages. Kira-san, we'll meet again to discuss this issue and hope to eliminate this group once and for all," said Naruto before turning and focused chakra to his legs. However, when he was about to jump towards the shore when Kira called him. "Wait. I told you my name and since we're together on this, please tell me yours," asked Kira, earning a look of suspicion from Naruto. He wanted to leave without having to blow his identity. However, Naruto saw no ill intent coming from Kira, so it would be fair to do this. "Uzumaki Naruto," said Naruto, earning a nod from Kira, who appreciated and vanished. At the Hokage's office. 2 days later, Naruto and his team reported their mission to meet the Sanbi and explained about the Fuinjutsu technique that was used to extract the demons. Jiraiya was also there and became intrigued with such a technique. The pervert asked for the ring and Tsunade agreed to give it to him with one condition. The condition was that the pervert had to remain within the village walls while studying the ring because it was a now valuable object. Being the free spirit that he was, of course, Jiraiya first objected to the idea. However, the possibility of stopping the group from sealing the last two-tailed demons made him think twice and accepted the restriction. "Naruto, I understand you engaged against the Hachibai Jinchuriki. Are his skills enough to avoid being captured?" asked Tsunade, earning a nod from Naruto, who began to explain. "Hachikura is, unlike me, almost 100% reliant on the eight-tailed demon. In fact, his entire fighting style revolves around the demon. I engaged him, sure, but for some reason, he didn't use the demon's power against me, but in human terms, I managed to beat him. It was then that Setsu appeared and we had to deal with him. As to his abilities, I'm sure he wouldn't be captured so easily. Just seeing his wife's killer would send his blood boil." "I know mine would," explained Naruto with his arms crossed, but everyone could see he was looking down towards the ground. Kurenai saw this and became worried about her lover. Ever since they took the trip back to Konoha, Naruto was behaving like this, and it scared her too. She was determined to ask what was on his mind. Eventually, Tsunade dismissed the team since there was something she needed to discuss with Jiraiya, so the group nodded and vanished, thus leaving the two Sannin alone. "What do you think has happened?" asked Tsunade, to which Jiraiya turned to think for a bit. Since Naruto joined the Anbu forces, not even a single hint of emotion could be seen from the blonde. "Beats me, I stopped trying to understand the real enigma that is Uzumaki Naruto. What I'm worried about right now is studying the ring and get to find a countermeasure in case they tried using the rings again," stated Jiraiya, earning a nod from Tsunade. "This seal will grant you authority to see Kaizam's corpse and extract the ring from his hand. We need to find something really fast, get on it," ordered Tsunade before seeing Jiraiya nod and vanish. Inside Naruto's place. After leaving Tsunade's office, Hawk, Bear and Dog went to the Anbu HQ while Naruto and Kurenai went to the blonde's apartment, seeing as the whole team got a day to rest from the fights that occurred. Just after Kurenai closed his door, she saw Naruto taking off his mask and sit on his couch while still looking down in thought. Kurenai, sometimes, couldn't understand her boyfriend's feelings and it concerned her to no end. She wanted to be there for him, and now either he didn't want to talk about what happened or it could be one of those deep secrets that exist regarding Naruto. "Naruto, please talk to me. I want to know why you're feeling so sad. I want to help you," begged Kurenai as she sat down near him, but he still didn't look at her. Ever since he heard Kira talking about Yujido, Naruto began to imagine what would happen if Kurenai suffered the same fate. Needless to say, he didn't want to think about. But the more he saw Kurenai, the worse the feelings got. Kurenai, though, was resolved to get through to her boyfriend no matter what. "Naruto, you can trust me with whatever it is you're feeling right now," said Kurenai, looking at his cerulean blue eyes while trying to predict the subject of his grief before he began muttering a few words. Kure-chan," said Naruto before seeing Kurenai smile and nod for him to continue. "The Hachibai Jinchuriki told me that Akatsuki killed his fiancée and I didn't want to think about it, but then I started thinking of what I'd do if I lost you. I'd lose my mind completely, Kure-chan. I wouldn't know what to do." Sniffed Naruto, but Kurenai placed her fingers on his mouth and did a gentle whisper shhhh to calm him down before she hugged the fierce Shippu Ukamise who had tears falling freely on his face. Now that she knew what Naruto thinking about, it filled her heart with warmth, hearing Naruto's feelings for her. However, she needed to assure him of her capabilities as a jounin. Smiling, Kurenai positioned Naruto's face in order to maintain eye contact before smashing her lips on his with passion. Naruto returned the kiss and hugged her for dear life, for this was one of the rarest moments in his life that a ninja could afford to lower his guard and just be human. Minutes later, Kurenai broke the kiss and just stared at his endless cerulean blue eyes that hold great love for her. Rest assured, my love, I'm one of Konoha's top jounin kunoichis. There is no way Akatsuki would try something without at least me being able to call for backup. Aside from Itachi, no one can use genjutsu against me, and that gives me leverage in battle. Besides, the one the fierce Shippu Akami chose as companion can't be called weak, now can't she? Asked Kurenai, earning a snicker from Naruto, who by now dried all the pent-up tears. Thank you, Kurenai-chan, for everything, said Naruto before falling to unconsciousness right on Kurenai's lap. The woman was stunned for a while, but then she smiled like never before. Seeing a ninja such as Naruto being this comfortable around her meant only one thing: unconditional trust and confidence that she would be there for him no matter what happened. Then, she just sat there, passing one hand through his golden locks and the other was gently caressing his face until she touched near the whisker marks and saw his body get relaxed. You're sensitive around this area, aren't you, Naru-kun, smiled Kurenai while never stopping to caress his hair and face, feeling more and more love for the blonde that captured her heart for good. Inside Naruto's mindscape. After he blacked out, Naruto instantly appeared inside his mindscape and faced the almighty Kyuubi no Yoko. He felt Kurenai's hands rubbing his whisker marks and smiled in relaxation while being able to hear her gentle voice. You know, I'm not much for sentimentality here, but I can see how you feel for your mate and she does for you, said Kyuubi as he was lying down with his paws crossed and his tails flipping side by side. After Kira's story, I couldn't help but think that they would kill her to get to me, but I should have more faith in her abilities as a jounin and hope to be there for her. Now, why did you feel the need to contact me? Kyuubi asked Naruto, earning a look in interest from the fox who didn't think the blonde would figure this out from pure body language. You became perceptive with time, I see. Yes, I have something urgent to discuss, and is regarded to your abilities. I know that your sensei helped you with close contact fighting, but we need to see to that you could cover all your grounds. I happen to find a suitable opponent from your memories that will be able to cover all types of fighting, going from close to long-range fighting. Meet Uchiha Itachi, said Kyuubi, before Sasuke's brother suddenly appeared in front of Naruto, earning a look in wonder from the blonde. You're kidding with me, right? Not even Kakashi-sensei and the Hokage could deal with him, and you expect me to win this battle, objected Naruto, but Kyuubi wouldn't hear it and instead decided to speak through Itachi. You'll have to face me sooner or later, Naruto. It's better you face me and here where you don't need to worry about him capturing you and endangering us. Itachi will have two purposes: one will be to see if you could top an experienced Uchiha in a fight, and two will be to understand how Itachi fights and possibly study the Sharingan a little better, explained Kyuubi, earning a snarl from Naruto from seeing a simple stare of those accursed eyes. But how can you replicate this Itachi's Sharingan and its abilities? Asked Naruto, though he feared he now asked too much since seconds after he shut his mouth, dead silence enveloped the area. The blonde didn't know what happened. It appeared to be a simple question. But when Kyuubi remained quiet soon afterwards, it somehow became clear to Naruto that maybe there was a connection between the accursed eyes and the fox in front of him. History told that the Uchiha were born because of one member of the Hyuga clan who made a pact with a demon in exchange from obtaining a new form of Jujutsu named the Sharingan. Sighing in realization, Naruto looked to Itachi, knowing he would be talking to the fox. I see it now, you're the one who created the accursed eye, didn't you, Kyuubi? Asked Naruto before being able to see a slight nod from Itachi and smiling in contemplation. You don't seem to bother much after learning the truth, Naruto. Why so? Asked the fox, earning a nod from Naruto, who turned to explain his thoughts. Why would this bother me at all? The Sharingan was cursed, but the ones that came from the Uchiha clan were so as well. Both Itachi and Sasuke were driven by pure desire for power for reasons I rather don't judge. In the end, both did things that were referred to as being evil. Itachi murdered his clan for unknown reasons and Sasuke betrayed Konoha once in order to kill the one who murdered his family. In the end, it wasn't because of the eye, but rather their corrupted thinking, who even though they possesses the all-seeing eye, are blinded to those around them. The Sharingan can be a good weapon for those who know how to use it like Kakashi-sensei. However, for those with weak minds the Sharingan overrules their judgment on things and see them as being less important. The events that happened because of the Sharingan couldn't, in no way, shape or form, return to the creator. So, why would I bother to know it was you who granted the Uchiha the accursed eye, explained Naruto, earning a nod from Itachi followed by a smile. Well, enough of the Sharingan, seeing that it doesn't bother you. Itachi will be fighting against you, but he won't use the Mangenkyu Sharingan. The reason being that he could use techniques that no matter your abilities, you wouldn't have a chance in hell of defeating them. Well, not unless you have me to help. But in this case, you're on your own, so we'll begin the fight immediately. Remember, even without the Mangenkyu, Itachi was your superior at the age of 13, so his skills aren't limited to the kaleidoscope form of the Sharingan. Where do you wish the fight to happen? Asked QB before seeing Naruto think for a while. Konoha's training ground number 7, QB. We need an open field in order to test everything we have up our sleeves, said Naruto, earning a nod from the fox, who immediately used his powers to create the image of them facing each other at the same place Naruto's Genin team had their true Genin test. The sun was scorching hot, which could only attest for Kyubi's creativity while recreating live scenarios. After observing the place for a while, Naruto looked at Itachi, now with his Anbu armor and a ninjato strapped on his back. Naruto never got to see Itachi's sword, because of the stupid black cloak that he wear all the time. Looking closely, Naruto could plainly see the red eyes with 3 tomo, which indicated that Itachi was ready for Naruto's first move. While making hand seals, Naruto didn't object to Itachi using the Sharingan to know the technique he would be using to start the fight. Foden de Tapa, wind release, great breakthrough jutsu. Instantly, a huge gust of wind charged against Itachi, who in turn, with calm and tranquility, made the hand signs needed for the katan, Gaokakyu no Jutsu, fire release, great fireball jutsu, and exhaled a huge ball of fire. The techniques, upon contact, nullified one another and created a lot of smoke that covered the field, thus giving Naruto the necessary leverage of Itachi having to resort to his instincts. Taking his sword off the handle, Naruto focused some chakra on his feet for the necessary propulsion and got into the heavy smoke. After leaving, he saw Itachi already halfway through, holding his own ninjato in preparation for Naruto's swing. The blonde smiled and swung his sword from the right side downwards to upwards in hopes of attacking Itachi with a diagonal strike. However, this time Itachi easily blocked the attack because of the Sharingan and moved his sword to the left in order to attack Naruto's supposedly exposed side. Seeing the attack, Naruto dodged almost constantly because of his initiative. He positioned his sword to block the strike, before using the momentum of the 2 swords clashing to land a kick on Itachi's chest. Itachi wondered what happened since his Sharingan should have seen the kick, however he realized that Naruto's eyes weren't focused on aiming his kick. Instead, they were locked at the 2 swords while they were at stalemate, meaning that Naruto had a good grasp on how to counter the Sharingan's abilities. Nicely done, Naruto, however this is just getting started, said QB, and in an instant Itachi made hand seals with speed that could rival the Sandaime Hokage back in his prime. After the final tiger seal, Itachi whispered Katan Kiryu Enden, fire release, fire dragon missile jutsu. What happened afterwards? A white layered fire was expelled from Itachi's mouth and charged straight at Naruto, who in turn, didn't have other choice but to use a jutsu to defend himself. Sudan Sujinhiki, water release, water barrier jutsu, shouted Naruto while looking at the incoming flames, before a huge wall of water appeared in front of him, thus defending him from the blast. Shifting sideways, Naruto made some fast hand seals before focusing on Reitan Kusari Reiku, lightning release, lightning chain jutsu. Since Itachi was focusing on his fire technique, he didn't have enough time to see Naruto hand seals before a huge dark cloud appeared on top of him and began destroying the field with lightning bolts. Quickly evading the consecutive attacks, he didn't even see Naruto coming directly from behind and landing a punch straight on Itachi's face, which sent him flying. However, The Itachi he hit was replaced by a murder of crows, indicating that Naruto was under a genjutsu. The crows, then, proceeded to attack Naruto with fury before Naruto made the famous dispelling technique and disrupted the genjutsu, but he wasn't fast enough to prevent a punch on the face from Itachi. Flipping his body, Naruto landed safely a few feet away and observed Itachi for a while. He managed to cast a genjutsu on the blonde by exchanging looks for 1 second. The elder Ukka's reputation preceded him after all, Naruto thought. Looking for a while, Naruto observed that a few of the lightnings had ended up hitting Itachi if the bruises on his arms were any indication, which meant that his best alternative was to stick to surprise attacks. The stunt Naruto pulled with the surprise Raton attack could happen again, but now with a much stronger attack. If Naruto managed to use the same tactic and make Itachi use an offensive jutsu, he could use a defensive one, followed by a powerful offensive technique. However, that would be a plan for other time. Charging another time, this time with straight taijutsu, Naruto moved to punch Itachi, but was blocked as Itachi then aimed for a middle kick on Naruto's side stomach before Naruto grabbed the man's foot and threw him away. Naruto then used a couple of shurikens and threw them at Itachi. The Uchiha flipped his body fast enough and used a kunai to stop the projectiles from reaching his body before throwing the kunai at Naruto and made some hand seals for Ninpukage Kunai no Jutsu, Ninja Art, Kunai Shadow Clone Jutsu. Instantly, 1 kunai became 10 and all of them pierced Naruto's skin before transforming into a log. As soon as Naruto was about to attack once again, he heard Kyuubi ending the fight. "That will be enough, I'm satisfied with your abilities. You managed to overcome your shortcomings regarding close contact fighting. Now, it's about time for you wake up," said Kyuubi, earning a nod from Naruto, who then vanished from his mindscape and opened his eyes to see his beloved looking at him. "Slept well, Naruto-kun. You could rest a while longer if you wish. I know I wouldn't mind caressing your hair some more," stated Kurenai before seeing Naruto laugh for a bit and got up from her lap. Actually, even if Naruto spent some good half an hour inside his mindscape, the notion of time is seriously reduced in the real world, hence why Naruto slept nothing more than 10 minutes. Seeing that it was already late, the couple soon went to sleep. Next day at training ground 15 The next day, Uzuki Yogao was standing in the middle of training ground waiting for her genin team to arrive. Fully dressed with a jounin attire and with a katana strapped on her back, she was staring at 3 ninjato stuck in the ground. Her genin team was composed of 2 girls and a boy, all 3 of them came from regular families, not one of them linked to Konoha's major clans. Actually, she kind of asked the Hokage to not set her up with anyone from a major clan, the reason being that in this way, she could develop their abilities from scratch without having to worry about sharing their training with the clan. And that was precisely why she would teach them the way of the sword. In Konoha, not many ninjas choose to learn the art of kenjutsu, so it was safe to say it became a lost art. Kids these days all wanted to know about flashy jutsu and beating the crap out of the opponents, but very few understand the need of learning to use a weapon, and Uzuki Yogao intended to change that. Today would be her team's first official day as genin since 2 days ago. Yogao made all 3 of them run a little test of skills. She didn't believe in the second exam the academy students had to pass, so it was only a test to see where she needed to help them improve and which subjects she could teach her students. Just when she was about to wonder any further, she heard footsteps coming and looked to the source's direction before smiling upon seeing her 3 genin. "Morning everyone, 2 days ago, you were tested and I made some notes regarding the areas that needs improvement. Aside from that, we're going to focus heavily on both chakra control and kenjutsu," said Yogao, earning a look in wonder from her 3 genin at the mention of the word kenjutsu. Upon seeing this, Yogao could only sigh in dismay as the genin didn't have a clue on what kenjutsu means. Kenjutsu means the art of the sword, and it consists of using the sword as an extension to the ninja's body, making him or her feared by the enemy. In front of you are 3 ninjato that will be used on your training and missions. Ninjato are used for precise attacks and agility in combat. Its smaller form allows the ninja an advantage of speed and better focus while attacking as well as in defense. "Go ahead, each of you take one and start to get familiarized with your sword," explained Yogao before seeing them take the ninjato out of its sheath and admiring it. "In time, I'll teach you guys to use these blades as an extension of your body, as well as other supplementary ninja arts in order to implement your skills. Now about them, I used our last encounter as a way to determine a more suitable training for each of you, said Yo-Gao as she looked at each one until she began with the boy. Yutaro, your ninjutsu is your strength, and I know from your files that you already able to use Doton techniques. Doton manipulation, while is the easiest element there is to learn, is quite handy in battle. It serves both as offense and defense. I happen to know a few techniques you could learn, but not until we improve your chakra control a bit. Compared to your teammates, your chakra control is minimal, but that's because your chakra reserve is much bigger, so it's understandable, said Yo-Gao before seeing Yutaro nod. Looking at the first girl, Sasami, Yo-Gao smiled and explained. Sasami, your chakra control is perfect, but we'll need to boost those chakra reserves and throw in a little stamina training. Your speed is considered one of the best of your generation and we'll train it. Also, you seem to have some knowledge on genjutsu as well, so we'll work on that as well. Last, but not least, Miss Ao. Your abilities rely on taijutsu mostly, so kenjutsu will be a second close contact art for you. Also, you have the ability to channel chakra through your body, and that's fantastic ability to have. All of you have the ability to grow strong and rise the ranks. Now we'll start with some laps around the training ground. Move it, shouted Yo-Gao, earning a surprised nod from the genin before they began to run with their swords strapped on their backs in order to be accustomed to the feeling. At Tsunade's office Looking through some documents, Tsunade found a mission request coming from a High Lord from Fang Country requesting a document retrieval mission from some Iwa missing nins who happened to break into his castle and stole it from him. Immediately, Tsunade began writing below the request, the shinobi part, like the rank type and what skills would be needed to complete this task. Iwa missing nins automatically raised the mission bar to at least be ranked, so no one under Jounin, or high-level Chunin would be called for this. Next, the type of skills needed to find the missing nins, beat them to a pulp and recover the stolen documentation. Plus the fact that the man is of high nobility, Tsunade was hard-pressed not to remote the list to mid to high-level Jounin-level ninjas to fulfill this mission. So, it would either elite Jounins or Anbu members to perform the mission. Unfortunately, all Jounins were on missions right now, leaving only a few low-level ones and a lot of Chunins. Therefore, it would be Anbu then. Taking an envelope inside one of the drawers, she began to scan the names of Anbu operatives that would be best suited for the mission. Okay. Then, Hawk, Bear and Dog were sent together with the Anbu commander for a mission towards Kumo. Shikamaru would definitely be on this mission, because of his intellect, and Shino will be as well. Both managed to surprise a lot of people because of their teamwork in missions. Now, I believe sending 2 Anbu-level shinobi will prove to be wrong, since I don't know how many missing nins there are. It's better to put a powerhouse on the group to be able to take on many opponents at once, and I can't think of no one better suited for this position than Naruto, thought Tsunade as she placed the mission specifics and reached for Shizune to call the names listed on the paper. Within minutes, the 3 of them appeared inside Tsunade's office, before saluting the Hokage. Good timing. Now, as so you know, I'm issuing an A-ranked mission towards Fang Country. A high official from the daimyo's castle contracted us to retrieve a document that was stolen by Iwa missing nins for reasons he didn't state in the letter. Your mission is to track the Iwa missing nins down and retrieve the document. We don't know how many are there, so proceed with care. Black Wolf will be the leader of the team. You are all to leave in half an hour. Godspeed to all of you and return safe, said Tsunade before seeing the 3 vanish via Shunshin. The 3 Anbu appeared on the top of the Hokage's office. Shikamaru, with the deer mask, turned to Naruto and looked at him for a while. So, Naruto, we're finally working together on a mission. I felt kind of bad to be on different teams, but now we get to run a mission together, said Shikamaru, earning a nod from Naruto, who took off his mask and smiled to his partner. I was also wanting to see how you guys would fare against a fair number of opponents. I trust you're better prepared than before, if Yamato's reports are any indication. You finally mastered Suton manipulation, Shikamaru, and Yushino managed Reiton manipulation. I'm pretty sure we will be able to nail these guys and send the bounty to Iwa. Meet me in half an hour at the North Gate. We're going hunting, said Naruto before he vanished within a small typhoon, thus leaving Shino and Shikamaru alone to look at each other. Shino was quite pleased to work alongside Naruto as well in the thought of seeing the blonde, performing some heavy artillery jutsus against the Iwa, missing nins. Both of them were eager to see Naruto in action. Naruto, after leaving Shikamaru and Shino, decided to scout throughout Konoha in order to locate his beloved. If he remembered correctly, she said that she would meet Anko for some lunch at the Dango restaurant. So when Naruto arrived inside, he was surprised to see not only the two, but also Ino there as well. The girls, upon seeing the black-masked Anbu, got different reactions. Kurenai smiled broadly seeing her boyfriend, and Anko smiled too from already knowing the black-masked Anbu. Ino, though, couldn't remember when she saw such an imposing mask before, but she had to admit it was scary to say the least. Seeing her uneasiness, Kurenai smiled. "Ino-chan, you don't need to be scared, it's just my boyfriend coming to greet me," said Kurenai as she got up from the table and approached the black-masked Anbu before hugging him with affection. "Kure-chan, I'm about to go on a mission now with Shikamaru and Shino towards Fang Country. The mission is due to end shortly, so I won't be gone for long," said Naruto, earning a nod followed by a kiss on his cheeks after removing his mask a bit. "You be careful out there, okay, and come back to me," said Kurenai, to which Naruto smiled and assured her once again that no matter what, he'd always come back to her. He kissed her one more time and was about to leave when Ino called to him and asked if Shikamaru would be going as well, to which Naruto nodded. "Okay then, could you take care of him for me, Naruto? He's been doing these tough missions non-stop right now and I fear that something might happen to him. He's not trained to battle multiple opponents like you," asked Ino, but was interrupted by Kurenai, who advised Ino to trust Shikamaru's abilities. "Don't worry, Ino, Shikamaru has improved a lot in battle. He will be just fine, besides he got both Shino and me to look out for each other, we'll do fine. Now, Kure-chan, I have to go now, I'm supposed to meet them in 10 minutes, said Naruto, earning a nod from Kurenai, who whispered praise of good luck to his ear and landed a gentle kiss on his cheek before Naruto vanished. At the gate. Shikamaru and Shino were all ready. They're waiting for their Anbu captain to arrive. Shikamaru was now thinking about the irony of the situation. 5 years ago, he wouldn't even think of Naruto being a mission leader, but now the blonde changed so much, it was like a totally different person. He was about to wander more but was interrupted when Naruto arrived and issued their strategy towards the client's house. In seconds, the group were already traveling through the trees heading for Fang Country. Chapter 18: The Ring. The hospital's sublevel was a place that Jiraiya never thought he would be in his lifetime. The truth was that the smell sickened the Sannin to his very core. True, he witnessed a lot of death in his shinobi life, but never before he entered a morgue. He knew that his assignment was important, though, so he would have to suck it up and do what was asked of him. Because of the Yondaim's death, the only one qualified to understand just any type of seal and its function was Jiraiya. True, the pervert wanted Naruto to receive his tutelage regarding Fuinjutsu, but Jiraiya couldn't just simply reach him and force the information into his brain. Like the Yondaime did back then, Naruto would have to ask for the subject to be taught, otherwise it would be worthless. Naruto wouldn't appreciate the art and eventually, he would forget such knowledge as not being worth his trouble. Wondering about his student, Jiraiya was actually proud of the damn brat. Joining the Anbu at 16 was outstanding, and Naruto was quickly becoming one of the strongest ninjas in Konoha. Sure, both Kakashi and Itachi beat Naruto by joining the Anbu forces on their 12th birthday, but Kakashi's timeline was in the midst of war, so there was a necessity for promoting ninjas, and Itachi was a genius. Getting out of the elevator, Jiraiya started feeling nauseous as the smell filled his lungs. Tsunade mentioned that there were some masks located on a room next to the elevator for those who wouldn't stand the intoxicating smell of the dead. It didn't take long until he reached the room and found the black breathing mask that happened to filter the intoxicating air and make it breathable. Trying to control his breathing now, Jiraiya almost choked, but his breathing soon reached normality. Looking up, he found directions to the room he needed to go and followed them. Soon, he knocked on the door and one medic nin opened. "Jiraiya-sama, Tsunade-sama told us you'd come here to check on Hoshikage Kaisam's corpse. We're already prepared his body for your analysis. Please right this way," said the medic nin in charge of the room, to which Jiraiya nodded and followed the man. "Actually, I'm not here to take a look at that fish's body. I'm here for the ring that he wore on his right hand," explained Jiraiya, before seeing the man stopping and looking back at the Sannin. All his personal items were stored with his body, so if he wore by the time he died, then sure the ring is here, stated the medic Nin, before turning to the door in front of him and began to press a certain digit sequence. After he finished, they heard the sound of a lock opening before the medic Nin turned the doorknob. When Drea entered the room, he looked at the blue corpse in front of him as he wondered about life itself. The man was considered an S-ranked criminal, wanted for trying to murder the Mist daimyo along with aiding in the Mist civil war. Now seeing him reduced to just a corpse, Drea couldn't help but wonder if every evil caused by this man was worth it in the end. It didn't matter if he was the enemy or not, seeing someone throw his or her life away for evil didn't deserve respect, but pity. His possessions are located at that metal plate next to his body, and I believe there is the ring you're looking for, Drea-sama. I'll be on the next room if you need me, okay, said the medic Nin, to which Drea nodded and picked up the ring before looking at its kanji. The symbol engraved in it didn't tell Drea much, but he knew that fuinjutsu techniques oftentimes required more than one seal to be effective, quite like the 5-barrier sealing technique that protected the cave's entrance when Naruto went to retrieve Gaara from Akatsuki. So, his mind began to process the information and search for clues that would aid him in his research for the technique responsible of sealing the Bajo's power. At the gates . Looking at the village for the first time since her departure, she couldn't help but feel nostalgic. Some would consider 2 months a very short time to feel this way, but Haruno Sakura didn't care. Konoha was her home and she never spent so much time outside the village except on her Shoyunin exams in Kumo, which actually took a month and a half. This time, she had a medic field mission on a village a few miles away from Konoha, which was to establish a new hospital for the villagers. At first, she tried reasoning with the Hokage about her doing this mission, but in the end, it was safe to say she would thank Tsunade for all eternity for doing this to her. Upon arriving at the village, Sakura immediately forgot about everything in the past and focused only on working throughout her 2-month mission. The hospital was about done and people came pretty much every day for either a normal checkup or to treat a heavy wound or even some severe surgery. After a month, Sakura was considered the village's savior as she was the one responsible, along with an elder doctor in town, for re-establishing the village's hospital. She had to admit she felt good upon hearing the villagers thanking her and couldn't imagine her doing anything different in the future. Now, because of the end of her mission, she now would return to her home village and report to the Hokage, but she wouldn't be going alone. Sakura-chan, let's get going. I'm eager to meet Lady Tsunade and get to know about her medical knowledge, said a guy about her size, black hair and wearing some formal clothing. The pink-haired girl smiled at the guy's enthusiasm and nodded, before the two walked inside the village while holding hands. Hakushi-kun, I know you're eager to see the Hokage, but it's been a while since I've been here. I wanted to look around a bit, stated Sakura, earning an understanding nod from Hakushi. Another reason why Sakura would need to thank Tsunade was his new boyfriend Taiki. He is, actually, the elder doctor's son, and, because of this, he and Sakura ended up spending quite a lot of time together. Hakushi's dream was to become the best doctor in the world and to be able to help as much people as possible, so it wasn't hard for Sakura to fall for the guy. Of course, the physical attributes were appealing as well, but ever since Sasuke rejected her that day, surely the girl wouldn't mind taking a look at personalities instead of just looks. Hakushi asked Sakura sometime about what's like to work under the best medic in all the elemental nations and told that he wanted to study under her knowledge, perhaps even becoming a doctor at the Konoha Public Hospital. Some would say that it was better for him to stay with his father helping the villagers, but one of Sakura's achievements was to select a very competent staff of doctors and nurses to work under Hakushi's father, so it wasn't necessary for him to be there at the moment. Of course, if the need arose in the future, he would go without even thinking, but for now, he would work hard under Tsunade's teachings. Back to Sakura, she was looking around the village and smiling upon seeing some children playing and women gossiping. A normal life, Sakura concluded. While on her mission, Sakura began to wonder how different her life would be if she dedicated full-time into being a medic. She could settle for teaching aspiring medic nins and work full-time at the hospital. It was surprising how in 2 months' time, she could change everything she ever believed and even settle for working full-time at the hospital instead of going on missions. Sakura wondered what her takeout's reaction would be once she came with the request. If Sakura knew anything about the Hokage, it was that the woman would be pissed if she knew her time was wasted, and certainly, Sakura didn't want to be in the receiving end of such frustration. Nevertheless, this was a dream of hers and she wanted to do it, even if her master disapproved. Just as Sakura was about to take another step, she looked up to see Ino, looking at her, before greeting the pink-haired Shoyunin with the normal respect, but still some cold towards her. Sakura couldn't help but look down in shame since she remembered how she used to treat everyone inside. "Hello Ino, how's everything?" said Sakura in a normal, yet down tune, to which Ino picked up in an instant. This Sakura was different, she could tell. Normally, Sakura wouldn't behave like this, and the Yamanaka wondered if something happened on her mission. "So Sakura, I heard that you went on a 2-month mission. How was it? And who is the man standing next to you?" asked Ino as she pointed to Kakashi. However, she managed to see a faint blushing from Sakura and wondered if something was going on. "Well, this is Kakashi-kun and he came with me to work at the Konoha hospital. And we..." "Oh. Boyfriend and girlfriend," stammered Sakura, not even knowing why she did so. Or perhaps she knew, as she kind of owed Ino for being such a bitch before. Ino, on the other side, was now sure something happened on this mission, for 3 reasons. First, Sakura wasn't behaving like a bitch, second, she wasn't fawning on Sasuke, and third, she was dating someone else, a civilian no less. The Yamanaka didn't think ill of civilians because they weren't ninjas, but she knew the difference in ideals between the two. She wondered how a civilian would understand the life of a shinobi and vice versa. It didn't just work, period. Ino was, however, caught by surprise when the man next to Sakura approached her and showed his hand as if he was about to greet her. "Good afternoon, Ino-san. It's finally nice to meet you. Sakura told me a lot about you and that you're also a medic," smiled Kakashi, earning a smile in return from Ino as she greeted him back. Seeing that they were near a small cafe, Ino invited them for a cup of coffee, while they could catch up on things and maybe get to know the new Sakura better. Of course, she wouldn't trust her right away, but at least giving her the opportunity to start all over wasn't a bad idea. It wasn't long until the 3 of them began talking. Well, Ino was just listening since both Sakura and Kakashi had a lot to tell about Sakura's 2-month mission towards the man's village. She learned about Sakura's achievements, and that the village now contained a special clinic for wounded shinobi to attend to in case of poisons and/or chakra-related diseases. Kakashi explained that without Sakura, the hospital would have taken nearly a year to be fully operational and people wouldn't receive a proper care, to which Sakura began to blush at the remark. While Kakashi was talking, Ino couldn't help but see a changed Sakura in front of her. Even though Ino and Sakura were friends, Sakura always had that air of false superiority and, more often than not, she would boss everyone around. Now, though, Sakura was different. She didn't correct anything that came out of Kakashi's mouth and even smiled when Kakashi explained a rather moving event when Sakura managed to save an old lady after she was infected with poison. After the new couple stopped talking, Ino began to tell Sakura what happened since she left. Of course, she told about how well Shikamaru is doing as an Anbu and getting to tell her about some of his exploits. It didn't take long for them to break, since Sakura had to report to the Hokage about her mission success, so they parted ways. Kakashi was saying how nice it was to meet Sakura's friend, but one question he did answer that surprised Sakura. "Tell me, Sakura-chan, I noticed that Ino-san gave you glances from time to time. I thought you two were friends," asked Kakashi, before hearing a sigh in dismay from the pink-haired medic. "Well, we were best friends alright, but some events created some distance between us. As I grew up under Tsunade-sama's teachings, I became kind of bossy with people. So it's safe to say I didn't leave the village on the best of terms. But I've changed now and I hope that Ino and I can be friends again. I remember when we were kids, that we were inseparable and I'd like to recuperate that type of friendship with her," explained Sakura as they walked inside the Hokage tower. Going upstairs, she and her boyfriend were in front of the Hokage's office, just waiting for Sakura to knock before entering. But for some unknown reason, she just stared at the door. She wondered if the Hokage sent her away because of her bossy attitude towards people. Even if she acknowledged said behavior, it didn't felt good to know that Tsunade was trying to get rid of her just like that. Looking up once more, She decided to face it and knocked on the door, thus getting authorization to enter. "Greetings Tsunade-sama, I've recently came back from my mission," said Sakura as she and Hakoshi entered the office. "Ah Sakura, come in please, it's nice to see that you're safe," so report asked Tsunade side with Shizune on the room. "After arriving, I made contact with the village's head doctor and we established the plans needed to hire some staff and acquire the necessary medication for the hospital. In 2 weeks, the new hospital was up and running with half the staff needed and a few medical supplies on the way. Within a month, the civilian hospital was fully operational, thus receiving a vast number of wounded and even some scheduled check-ups every now and then. The ninja hospital took a while longer to finish because some of the staff needed additional training on some basic medic techniques. Overall, in 2 months, both hospitals are fully operational, and both ninja and civilians are attending them," reported Sakura, earning a satisfying nod from the blonde Hokage. She couldn't help but smile, though, as the old Sakura would never give credit to other than herself, and even her expression was lighter than before. She assumed Shizune's idea came through quite nicely. "Good job Sakura, and I trust that you are Hakoshi-san. Your father told great things about you. He asked me to give you a position in our hospital and I accepted. It's tough to find good medics this time around," said Tsunade, earning a nod from Hakoshi. "I appreciate it Tsunade-sama. I didn't know my father asked you already. I was hoping to come here myself, but I guess he beat me, right?" laughed Hakoshi, earning a smile in recognition from Tsunade before she looked at Sakura. The girl was blushing upon looking at him, or she was just delusional. Upon looking at Shizune, she smiled and nodded, knowing what the Hokage was thinking. "Excuse me Tsunade-sama?" asked Sakura, earning the Hokage's attention, before she continued. "I was hoping to ask you about something." "What is it?" "Well, throughout my mission, I was able to dedicate full attention at the hospital and in time, I had an epiphany of sorts. I liked taking care of people rather than hurting them, which is why I wanted to ask if I could be full time at the hospital instead of being on the field and possibly teach aspiring the next generation to be a medic nin. I know you trained me and I'm grateful for everything, but I want to use this training at the hospital," said Sakura, lowering her head as in expecting the shouting that was soon to initiate, but instead all she heard was laughter. "Sakura, I've seen this mission did wonders for you my dear, and I bet this young man next to you did as well. So, you want to be at the hospital, then, I see. I'll grant your request and I want to say I'm proud of you," Sakura said Tsunade, before seeing Sakura look at her with wide eyes since she never got to hear such praise before. Medical ninjutsu was created to save, and not to harm people. Only a true medic nin would choose what you did, and for that, I'm proud of your growth. Shizune will take care of the papers and we'll talk about the medic nin school some other time. Now why don't you show Hakoshi-san his new home and we'll see about an apartment for him later, said Tsunade, before seeing the two bowing in respect and leave. "She changed a lot, didn't she?" asked Shizune, earning a smiling nod from Tsunade. With Naruto . After leaving the village straight towards Fang Country, Naruto and his team were now leaving Fire Country. Being a three-man team, the formation wasn't that hard to make, but Naruto was doing a nice job leading an Anbu-level mission. He positioned Shino to be last because of his scouting abilities, while he and Shikamaru would be in front to scout ahead. Shino was using his Kaikeyaku bugs to alert them of any hostile intent nearby so that they could travel faster without needing to worry about incoming enemies. Their mission involved 2 parts. The first was to track the missing nins that stole the documentation and then engage in combat. Tsunade wasn't clear as to what they should do about the missing nins, so both Naruto and Shikamaru agreed that were a threat that needed to be dealt with after retrieving the scrolls. Looking back, he asked Shino to report their status so far. "My Kaikeyaku didn't sense evil presences around and up front as well. Our path is clear for the moment," said Shino, earning a nod from Naruto, who, then, focused some chakra on his feet and increased the pace. Anbu missions were very different than normal missions. While traveling, they couldn't afford to either rest or proceed at a slow pace. Both Shikamaru and Shino knew this, and while the bug user followed Naruto's speed, Shikamaru muttered his favorite word since he had to use a great deal of chakra to just cope with Naruto's speed. "Black Wolf Takeout, how much time until we reach the client's house?" asked Shikamaru after reaching the blonde. Naruto, though, looked at Shikamaru for a while, wondering why his longtime friend was addressing him with such respect, which would be normally given to those at least with double the experience in battle than him. Naruto ignored it, though, in favor of asking later. We are close now, the client's mansion is a few miles away from here, we'll be there in 5. Reported Naruto, earning a nod from Shikamaru as the trio continued the fast pace towards their mission. So what's the plan after we arrive? Asked Shikamaru. The missions file didn't give us a thorough description of the document or its contents, so we'll have to ask our client to better explain it to us. After that, we'll begin the investigations to find the ones who stole said document. I expect this phase to last close to a day, before one of us manages to find a major lead on our suspects. That will be outlined for now, I'm afraid. In order for us to devise a battle formation, we need to understand the enemy's capabilities and their numbers first, explained Naruto, earning a nod in understanding from Shikamaru and Shino. Now, before we arrive, I want to know of you two's abilities when engaging multiple opponents. I know I read your file, but the more information the better, plus the report is written after the battle, meaning that I can't grasp a ninja's full potential from reading a report, asked Naruto, before Shino responded for Shikamaru. After we joined Anbu, we developed a special teamwork strategy that consisted of shadow binding and Maikaikeiku draining their chakra. After sucking as much as possible of the enemy's chakra, we change into long-range, elemental attacks to eliminate a large quantity of the enemy's forces. The rest, we engage in plain taijutsu/kenjutsu. As to our abilities, ever since we fought against each other, we trained a lot and managed to improve our element mastery. In conclusion, we can take close to 10 enemies by ourselves, reported Shino, earning a nod from Naruto. Okay, then. After we have a better grasp at our enemies, we'll devise a proper battle plan. In order for your plan to work, we must find a way to include me in it, said Naruto, but was interrupted by Shikamaru. That wouldn't be an issue. In our battle plan, you'd hold the enemies like I used the shadow binding while the bugs suck the enemy's chakra. I would use stronger shadow attacks and eliminate as much as possible before you choose one of your destructive techniques to take care of the rest. With you, we could probably take on 5 maybe 10 opponents more, said Shikamaru, before he looked forward and noticed that the client's house was appearing in the horizon. With Drea . A bit more than 2 hours passed and Drea haven't progressed one bit with his research. The problem with jutsus that used more than one seal was the huge number of possibilities for its use and finality, and for all the experience he gathered on seals, he couldn't grasp all such possibilities. Taking his eyes off the ring for a second, he chose a different approach. He knew that all the Akatsuki members had these rings, and he presumed each of them contained different engravings that would aid in the technique. And while he couldn't possibly know about the other seals, Drea can at least figure out the mechanics behind the technique. Another thing Drea wondered about was why the organization didn't come to Konoha and try to retrieve the ring. If such a technique was only possible with all of them, they wouldn't be resting unless they had all the seals. Let's think for a second. I know that Orochimaru used to be a part of said organization, and even though he left, the organization was still able to do this sealing jutsu, so it means that the more seals chakra source to use, it's easier to perform the technique. But it is not impossible for them to perform it with fewer members, but they would need a lot more chakra for compensation. So, I guess it's safe to say the technique was created for 10 individuals to perform at the same time. Okay, then, now I must figure out how this technique works, thought Drea out loud. He immediately wrote his findings on the technique on a blank scroll, before looking again at the ring. The next part was to figure out why the need of the ring itself, seeing that the ring wasn't as important as the seal inside it. Drea frowned from lack of knowledge about their members that would help him to figure out the need behind the ring. He didn't know if the finger position was important or if all of them used on the same finger. He needed help from someone that already saw them in order to tell him. I guess I'll have to go to Tsunade and ask her directly. I don't know anyone besides Naruto and Kakashi that saw their members. Wait, Tsunade and the Anbis engaged Itachi and Kasami. She must know about the ring positions. At Tsunade's office . After explaining his findings so far about the technique, he saw the Hokage cross her arms and close her eyes in retrospect. She had to confess that she didn't bother looking at their hands, since she was more concerned with eliminating them from the face of the earth. But if she managed to remember, Jiraiya's research would improve, and he could figure out what he could do to prevent the Kyuubi's extraction, in case Naruto gets captured in the future. She was recalling each step of the fight and even remembered Itachi's prowess with Katan Jutsus. She remembered seeing the speed behind making hand seals, before suddenly an image froze on Itachi's ring. I remember now when Itachi was doing hand seals at the time, he finished with the Tora seal and his ring appeared. It was his right hand wedding finger, I believe. Where was Kaisam's? Asked Tsunade. Left wedding finger. If the technique was created to be used by 10 individuals, then there must be 10 rings, each one used in each of the 10 fingers, explained Jiraiya, to which Tsunade frowned, while trying to hold her urge to punch the pervert from stating the obvious, but Jiraiya was a master in finding information, so she waited for his brain to process the information he now possessed. Back to the pervert, he was deep in thought. 10 people, 10 fingers, it must be the position in which the seals must be aligned for the technique to work, he thought. This means, then, that in order for the technique to work, the finger positions must be aligned. So, they could have a Fuinjutsu map of sorts, said Jiraiya until he saw the look in Tsunade's face, not understanding what he said just now, before continuing. A Fuinjutsu map is sometimes used when the technique is complex and need a specific position. Most of these situations consist of more than one ninja performing the ritual, kind of like the ones used for the medic nin technique for human tissue reparation. In this case, the members could be positioned in each of the fingers that they represent and all of them focus chakra at the same time. I'm not saying it's how it works, it's just a guess based on what I know of the art. Once the technique is initiated, the 10 chakra sources reach the Jinchuriki, starting the extraction ritual, explained Jiraiya, earning a nod from Tsunade, who managed to imagine the situation. Then what do they use to keep the Bajus after the extraction? Scrolls, maybe? Asked Tsunade, earning a nod in the negative from Jiraiya. No, if that was the answer, then Minato wouldn't need to sacrifice his life in order to seal the Kyuubi, and he was a true genius. To my knowledge, there isn't a better jail for the Bajou than the Jinchuriki, so it's possible that what they're using isn't created by humans at all, concluded Jiraiya, earning looks of shock from Tsunade, who demanded explanation. Think about it. They were 9 Jinchuriki in all the elemental nations and 9 tailed beasts trapped inside. Do you think that if there was a possibility of sealing a tailed beast inside a scroll, that the villages would prefer to seal inside a baby? I believe I figured out as much as I could here in Konoha. I'll go to my spy network and expand this research worldwide. One of them will be able to give me a lead of what this sealing technique contains, expressed Jiraiya, earning a nod from Tsunade. Okay, then, proceed with caution. I can't afford to lose you now, said Tsunade with no second intentions other than military, but Jiraiya couldn't help but want to get a rise out of his once teammate. I'm touched with your concern over my well-being, Tsunade Heim. I promise you with all my heart that I'll return to you my love. Joked Jiraiya, but couldn't finish since by the time he said the last word, he was already out of fire country, flying from the woman's mighty punch. With Naruto . The team arrived at the client's mansion, shortly after seeing it on the horizon, and they were now being escorted to the one who hired them. The man's name was Higurashi Kato, and he was one of the most trustworthy men inside the Fang Daimy's castle. So, it didn't take a genius to realize that the missing nin simply felt like stealing some documents from the guy without reason whatsoever. In little time, the Anbu reached a spaced living room before finding a man who appeared to be Kato, drinking some tea with his eyes closed while he savored the delicate aroma of the green herb. Kato-sama, the ninja from Konoha are here as per requested, my lord, said the servant, earning the man's attention. Kato's figure didn't demand respect in any shape of the way. He was short, needed to lose weight, and on top of that, he was exhaling a powerful smell, probably from smoking so much. Shino was finding hard to control his insects for causing major chaos inside his body. As he approached, he handed the teacup to the servant and began looking at the Anbu in front of him with a failed attempt of trying to look at their eyes because of the mask. Both Naruto and Shikamaru couldn't help but curse the guy for staring so much, but didn't react because of their mission. Well, I'm sure Tsunade-san would send their finest to aid me, since I paid a lot of money to her. Those documents are important and I need them back, said Kato, earning a nod from Naruto, who, since he was the leader, stepped up and addressed the client. Kato-san, we assure you that we'll do everything within our power to recover those documents and capture the missing nins. Now, Could you perhaps explain to us what we need to know about the documents and, if possible, about the ones who stole it? Asked Naruto, trying to be as polite as possible, since he never had any training in etiquette aside from some hints given by his girlfriend from time to time. Shino and Shikamaru, though, acknowledged said ability and didn't find any flaws in Naruto's greeting. Since both of them were clan heirs, such rules were practically drilled inside their heads since birth, but since Naruto was an orphan, he had no one to teach him these things. The client looked at the blonde, one as in trying to study the group's leader, but couldn't find anything. The man's posture demanded respect, Kato thought, and the way he spoke brought confidence to Kato about his hopes of seeing the documentation. Sure, I can, Ninja-san. As you may or may not know, I'm the Director of Commerce and Trading here in Fang Country, and as such I'm privy to contracts and keen documentation regarding the negotiations being held with my country. A few weeks ago, we managed to close a trading deal with Wave Country. However, Wave Country's daimyo Tazu Nadono requested a copy of the contract for his archives. Sadly, though, it was stolen right before I managed to get it, explained Kato, earning a nod from Naruto while thinking about the people in Wave Country and wondering if the old drunk actually is daimyo now. Okay, then sir, now why are you suspicious of missing nins from it was stealing said contract? Asked Naruto, earning a nod followed by a smile since Kato was just getting there. A couple of weeks ago, a selected group of them caused some small chaos on one of our villages. They called themselves Iwa's Exile. 3 days ago, one of my servants was killed by them with what appeared to be a kunai embedded with a message right before the contract was stolen, said Kato, before grabbing the note and giving it to Naruto. Greetings, Kato-san. By the time you read this, we'll be pretty much gone from your castle, however we won't be leaving empty-handed. You see, Fang Country has spread its trade and commerce throughout the elemental nations, and we, the Iwa's Exile, don't like that. We plan to expand our group, and for that, money is involved. This contract surely means a lot for your country, so you wouldn't mind giving us a fair amount of money for it, don't you? If you want the contract back, you'll have to give us 3 million ryu in exchange. Also, don't worry about you finding us, just settle the amount with you when we arrive next time. Also, in case you try to hire someone to go against us, be sure not to let us know unless we'll destroy the contract and everything of its contents. See you soon. After Naruto read it, he gave it to Shikamaru and Shino, who began analyzing it. Sir, we'll get right on the case, said Naruto before he and his team left the place and went outside. So what do you think? Asked Naruto to Shikamaru, since he was the mastermind of the team. The message seems legit, but the lack of blood on it is what I'm worried. He said that the message was embedded with a kunai that pierced his servant's back, but there is no blood or even evidence of any in the past, reported Shikamaru. How can we know that this so-called Iwa's Exile even exists? One of the things I did upon getting inside the Anbu forces was to memorize the bingo book, and I don't recall reading about this group, commented Shino, to which Naruto nodded with his arms crossed as he processed the information his team gave so far. The story seemed far-fetched, but if the contract exists, then Fang Country must want it back somehow. The contract exists, though, and it's missing. What we need to know is do some recon, both from the message and from the place the contract was stolen. From there, we can identify the user's method and perhaps know their identities, or where did they go. I'll bring in an associate of mine to aid us in these investigations, said Naruto, confusing both his teammates, before they saw him cutting his index finger and making hand seals. Onikachios no Jutsu, demon summoning jutsu, shouted Naruto before a brown two-tailed fox appeared in front of him. Naruto-sama, how can I be of service? Asked Onmitsu, before Naruto explained the entire situation to the investigator fox. During this event, both Shino and Shikamaru were looking at each other, both remembering the same thing. Flashback on. Both Shikamaru and Shino were in front of the Anbu commander's office, being briefed on what it takes to be an Anbu. Congratulations both of you for joining the Anbu forces. We work under the orders of our Hokage and help her to better protect this village, even it costs our lives to do so. You are now part of this organization that was responsible for protecting the village during all the great shinobi wars and grant victory to the hidden village in the leaves. Now, as members of this prestiged organization, both of you will be entitled to some of the village secrets, and both I and the Hokage expects that you keep these information secret for as long as you both shall live. As of right now, I'll be telling you two S-rank secret that I believe is vital for those under my command to know. It revolves around one of our most proud members, codenamed Black Wolf, said Yamato, before Shino and Shikamaru looked at each other in surprise. They came to know from others about Black Wolf's reputation, but few of them knew his real identity, since he never take his mask off even inside the HQ. But both Shino and Shikamaru knew who Black Wolf was. However, they didn't know he had a secret that no one knew about. Both of you were taught that the almighty Kyuubi, no Yoko, was killed by our Yondaime Hokage, but at the cost of his life, right? Asked Yamato, before seeing both nodding. However, that was a cover story in order for our member to have a normal life, at least one as less dangerous as possible. The Kyuubi no Yoko was composed of pure energy. Its shape was predefined by how much power stored within him, so it was safe to say that no human could ever hope to kill something based purely on energy. So, the Yondaime Hokage used a Fuinjutsu technique that enabled him to seal off the fox inside a human being. An object wouldn't suffice, as the fox would simply escape. It couldn't be just any human being, because the fox would kill him from the inside and escape once more. The best possible choice was to seal the fox inside a born infant, simply because its chakra coils wouldn't be developed yet, and he or she could hold the fox's chakra and use it in the future, explained Yamato, but by the look of pure shock in both Shino and Shikamaru's faces, he didn't need to continue the story. Shikamaru was shocked, since for as long as he knew the blonde, never before he could have known that someone like Naruto could hold such a terrible secret for himself. Shikamaru remembered his father telling about the Kyuubi event and that several Nara members were killed because of the fox, but Shikamaru wasn't mad at this predicament, simply because it happened right after he was born, so his memory had no recollection of what happened. Now wondering about his friend, Shikamaru actually began to respect him even more now. Naruto was the first of their generation to join Anbu, and he was considered the dead last of the class. One thing for sure was that Shikamaru now understood just who the real Uzumaki Naruto was. Shino, though shocked, couldn't argue with the logic behind the whole matter. Like with the Nara clan, lots of Aburame members were killed by the Kyuubi, but Naruto's situation was similar to his own, so how could he think any ill of Naruto? The Kyuubi was Naruto as his bugs were to him and aid them in battle. Also, it's not like Naruto asked to receive such burden. They were awakened by Yamato, who cleared their throat and addressed them. The reason I'm telling you two this is because from all of us here, you two were present throughout Naruto's life, and as such, you two deserve to know the real truth. That doesn't mean, though, that the secret is free to everyone. It still remains a S-rank secret, and if shared with someone who doesn't have the authority to know, will be punished by death. I trust that both of you understand the seriousness of this situation, said Yamato, earning a nods of acknowledgement from the new recruits. Flashback off. As they saw Naruto telling the fox everything they discovered so far, both Shino and Shikamaru both remembered the silent oath they did to follow the blonde in case he ever needed their help. After a while, Naruto got up and addressed his two teammates. I know what you two are thinking, and I know that Yamato Takeout told you two about my condition. Now, because of my link, I can summon 5 ninja foxes that can aid me or my team throughout the mission. Now on Mitsu here is the detective. One look at the contract place and he can detect even the faintest chakra residue. That will help us finding the ones who stolen the document, and see if they are indeed Iwa missing nin, said Naruto before he went back to the house with his fox in tow, but stopped once Shikamaru called him. Takeout, yes, we know of your condition, and no, we don't think any ill of it. Trust us to see the underneath of the underneath and realize that what you are is not a result of what you'd asked for or really craved for it. This happened without your consent, and as such, you shouldn't be condemned for it. We just hope you'll trust us more in the future than you do now, said Shikamaru, earning a nod from Shino, who was standing with his arms crossed. Naruto couldn't help but smile behind his mask as he heard his friend's words. Sure, trust wasn't earned so easily these days, and Naruto would have half a mind to just place a step back for these two. However, he could not forget that neither Shikamaru nor Shino ever treated him badly in the past, nor underestimated his abilities even when people considered him a dead last. Naruto concluded that amongst those he knew, he could have 2 new additions to the ones precious to him. Naruto had few, but precious friends: Kakashi, Iruka, Hawk, Yamato, Bear, and now Shikamaru and Shino joined the list. I don't know what the future holds, but for now I can say for sure that I can trust you too with my burden. Now, let's proceed with the mission since I want to come home as fast as possible, said Naruto, earning nods from Shino and Shikamaru before entering the house with the fox. Shortly after arriving at the contract room, Onmitsu's eyes changed and he scanned the room for any different source of chakra than the ones present. His noise surely detected 4 different scents, but the smells alone couldn't lead the two-tailed fox anywhere, so the fox changed its approach and tried to scan for chakra residues inside the room. It took a while, but Onmitsu's eyes managed to scan the faint chakra residues and managed to tail them outside the house, before looking at said direction. Naruto-sama, I managed to sense 4 chakra residues going northeast from here. If my senses are correct, they are not so far from here. Shall we follow after them? Asked Onmitsu, before Naruto nodded and turned to his peers. If the message is legit, then they would return here to collect the money. I'll leave some cage bunchins here just in case, but if Onmitsu managed to track them, we won't need to worry about them coming to collect the money. Let's go, ordered Naruto before Shikamaru and Shino nodded and followed both Naruto and the fox towards where the battle would now begin. Chapter 19, A Warrior's Desire. It had been a while since Itachi used the Hachibai excuse to flee from the Akatsuki without having to worry about a possible confrontation. His plan was simple, yet complicated at the same time. Tricking the Akatsuki, let alone someone like Zetsu, was nearly impossible. However, the Uchiha knew some aspects of Fuinjutsu linked with the henge technique added with a wide-scale genjutsu to make it seem that a demon attacked him, so as to make it look like it was Itachi lying on the ground all bloodied. But the truth was that Itachi chose a missing nin from Kumo for the experiment. It was successful, though, as the body laid on the ground covered in blood was an exact replica of the elder Uchiha. Being an Anbu before the Uchiha massacre, he got to learn a lot of useful things that aided him in his career. However, now he was counting with the useless things that he was taught, like how to prepare false scenery using some seals and a henge. After taking care of everything, Itachi walked away from the fake body. Itachi never got to take his Anbu attire off before joining the Akatsuki, so without the black robe, he returned to being a ninja from Konoha, except that with a crossed headband. The man knew he had to change his outfit from fear of being easily recognized by people. The problem of being the one responsible for the Uchiha massacre was that the minute he escaped the village, the word spread all around the elemental nations. Itachi was never much fan of diverting attention to himself, even before committing the terrible sin of killing everyone of the Uchiha clan, except for his stupid brother. Of course, just like any Uchiha, Itachi was the #1 rookie of his academy class, and had a mob of fangirls chasing him. Soon, he arrived at a small village and looked around a bit. His senses for other ninjas were normal, so he was safe. Wandering around for a while, Itachi managed to find a clothes store where he could ditch the Anbu attire in hopes of getting something inconspicuous. Once inside, he saw that the store was divided in normal civilian clothes and shinobi clothes. Itachi thought it was a good idea to mix the two. Of course, he wanted to hide his appearance, but he also wanted some light material for movement, in case Akatsuki learned of his treachery. The shop owner was an old man and he was snoring like crazy, so Itachi just walked through the store looking for something he could wear. He needed first something to hide his face, so he would have to purchase a mask. Also, he needed to find a robe, just like the Akatsuki wear, but in a different color. He was wandering around the store until he found one light blue with black stripes all over. Also, Itachi managed to find some light cargo paints and a gray shirt with a high collar that would cover up to Itachi's nose, just like the usual Uchiha blue shirt that both he and Sasuke wore. Gathering everything he needed, Itachi went to the counter and landed his soon-to-be-purchased clothes right in front of the old man with enough noise to wake him. Itachi confessed that he was a bit taken aback when the old man opened his eyes and shouted at him like he was crazy. "What do you want, you fool? Can't you see that I'm taking a nap?" shouted the old geezer. Itachi couldn't help but see the irony in this situation. He an S-ranked missing nin, killer of the fabled Uchiha clan, being shouted at by an old geezer who probably wouldn't give a shit if Itachi was a ninja or not. "I want to purchase these items from your store. After this I won't bother you and you can go back to your nap," said Itachi, not at all focused on teaching the man not to shout at him. It wasn't that the old Uchiha didn't want to, it was rather the fact that one single mistake could lead the Akatsuki right behind him, and Itachi knew he couldn't take on all of them together. Maybe Zetsu, but both Tobi and Pain were the strongest members of the organization, and as such, they shouldn't be taken lightly. The old man snorted something about young punks these days lacking respect for the elderly, but Itachi ignored it. All in favor of getting the hell out of this store and be able to rid himself of the Anbu clothing and the crossed headband, so as to cut all ties with just about any type of organization that exists. Luckily for Itachi, the man was quick, and in minutes, Itachi was walking out of the shop with some shopping bags. He needed to go somewhere where he could change and burn his old attire, and he saw the perfect place, thus speeding things up a bit. In minutes, Itachi was now wearing his new outfit and burned his Anbu attire. Now, it was time for the next part of the plan, and that was finding someone who could heal his eyes for him. The Mangenkyu Sharingan was a remarkable weapon, but with time, the user would lose his ability to see properly, eventually losing his eyesight. One thing was certain, though, that until Itachi managed to find someone to fix his eyes, the Sharingan would not be used. As Itachi began to walk towards no certain destination, he noticed a dango restaurant straight ahead. But instead of thinking of the food, Itachi's sight immediately recognized the one seating there having some lunch. With Jiraiya . Jiraiya was traveling around the elemental nations in search for more clues regarding the technique responsible for the Geas extraction. The pervert didn't find much information, and he didn't like it one bit. Being an information gatherer, and one of the best, if something truly annoyed Jiraiya, it was not being able to dig further. Some of his contacts expressed their intelligence, saying that they were aware of a technique like the one Jiraiya was looking. But the truth is that none of them managed to give Jiraiya any more material to work with. Right now, Jiraiya was eating some dango while deep in thought about his investigation. However, he soon stopped cold in his tracks upon looking up, only to see one of Konoha's worst enemies staring right at him with that cold look in his eyes. But the weird thing was that he wasn't dressed like last time, and also the scratched forehead protector was now gone from his forehead. "It's been a while," Jiraiya said. Itachi, of course, receiving only snarl in response from the Sannin. Jiraiya was cursing his luck, or rather lack of it, by meeting one of the Akatsuki right in front of him, and even worse, the sole possessor of the eternal Mangenkyu Sharingan. Jiraiya's shinobi mind was confused, though, after seeing the change in wardrobe and also the fact that Itachi was alone rather than with a partner, something wasn't right and Jiraiya wanted to know about it. "I'm curious, Itachi-kun, about the change in wardrobe. Surely isn't a conscious crisis we're talking about here?" asked Jiraiya while fixing eye contact with Itachi, even though it was highly ill-advised to face an Uchiha eye-to-eye. However, since the Sharingan wasn't active, then Jiraiya had nothing to worry about being casted a genjutsu out of a sudden. Itachi, for his part, saw the sarcasm in the Sannin's words and snorted. "A shinobi cannot afford to grieve over the past. We have a reduced lifespan, as it is, and it's ill-advised to mourn the past actions. It wasn't in my plan for you to see me like this, but I'm here to ask you something, if I may," asked Itachi, before seeing Jiraiya nodding his head as in asking what Itachi wanted. "Ever since we lost Kasami to Konoha Anbu, I've thinking about the one wearing black wolf mask, and truth be told, he quirked my interest," explained Itachi. Jiraiya, though, managed to control his subtle body movements that would come with realization upon hearing Itachi's words, but inside, the man was cursing the genius Uchiha from being too damn smart. But the fact remained that should Itachi still work with Akatsuki, the only ninja from Konoha who would interest him would be Naruto, not the Anbu Black Wolf, even if they are the same person. Jiraiya didn't open his mouth until Itachi proceeded. "I didn't see the fight that Kasami had since I was busy handling myself against both Kakashi and the Godame Hokage, but still beating Hoshikage Kasami, one of the strongest members of the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist, require both skills and strength that are peculiar to at least one of Akatsuki's level, or even your level. It's my interest to meet this guy and hope to fight him in a duel," said Itachi, before seeing Jiraiya quirk his eyebrow in response to Itachi's strange request. A mere desire to fight someone was a warrior's wish, and certainly no one could say that Itachi was one. "I'm more confused now than when I first saw you with this different outfit. I never expected you to be the warrior type," said Jiraiya, earning a nod from Itachi. "The reason for my actions so far was merely to test how far I've gotten with my skills. Joining Akatsuki and facing Jinchurikis was a way for me to measure my capabilities against much powerful foes, but unfortunately the ones I engaged were either too inexperienced in the shinobi arts or too old to even move accordingly. Now, the black-masked Anbu managed to defeat Kasami, and he was an S-ranked ninja, explained Itachi before ordering some dango to the waiter and seating in the same table as Jiraiya while facing him. The pervert for his part wondered about a possible alibi on Itachi's side, and chose to answer his doubt concerning this whole situation. Let me ask you something. Considering the level of ninjas that represents Akatsuki, I would imagine that something as treason would be highly frowned upon. Clearly, you can't say that they just let you walk away free of any commitment towards their cause, whatever there is, asked Jiraiya, before Itachi nodded. You are indeed correct, a member who commits acts of treason will receive a death sentence. However, I don't trust you enough to just tell what happened, just the fact that you will be the only one who knows I'm alive, as I expect you to keep secret to anyone is enough, said Itachi, before Jiraiya snorted, since Itachi didn't actually give him any reasons not to tell that he escaped and maybe ruin his plans, whatever that might be. I'm sorry, Itachi, but what would keep me from spreading the word about you leaving Akatsuki? Surely, you'd have to grant me something that I can use for the favor of keeping this information. Unless, you plan to kill me right now, because if that's the case, then you could just forfeit. You're strong, kid, but not enough to kill a Sannin and be able to hide your tracks, spoke Jiraiya, before seeing Itachi negating the question with his head. He just waited for his dango order to be placed in front of him and for the waiter to leave, before responding. I don't plan to kill you, but rather use you if I may. I still plan to engage against the black-masked Anbu, whether you want to or not. But, if you do help me with this, I'll grant you information regarding the organization. However, this deal proposal will only come to fruition if you hold your end of the bargain, explained Itachi, earning another snort from the elder ninja. Itachi was indeed too damn smart and cunning as well. He knew that Jiraiya was gathering any sort of information about Akatsuki and was spreading information to the other hidden villages. The problem with accepting this deal was that he would have to agree in setting Naruto to fight against Itachi, and as such, he could very well capture Naruto and hand him for the Akatsuki. However, if the information that Itachi provides allows Jiraiya to work on a counter jutsu that would nullify the extraction technique, it was a risk, Jiraiya knew, and a big one, if Itachi managed to turn the tables on him. Nevertheless, Jiraiya didn't survive thus far by being an amateur. Before this deal closes, Itachi, I have one condition. Before I agree to settle you on a fight against the Anbu, you must prove that you won't betray me in the end by supplying me with false information. Once I'm satisfied with the information you provide, I'll give you my word that your request will reach the Godame Hokage, cause after all, because of her position, she needs to know about it, asked Jiraiya, earning a nod from Itachi, who actually accepted the condition. I accept the condition, Jiraiya. So, what do you want to know about the Akatsuki? However, your condition should apply to you as well. If I sense that you're not doing your part, I'll call the whole thing off and cease everything, said Itachi, earning a nod from Jiraiya, before they both shook hands to settle the deal. However, by the look in their faces, it was clear that none trusted each other, but that would change in time, at least Jiraiya hoped so. Sometimes, the enemy becomes the ally, and while said concept wasn't strange to the Sannin, he certainly had reservations about siding with someone as Itachi. With Naruto . Unaware of Jiraiya's deal, Naruto and his peers were currently tailing the demon fox Onmitsu, who in turn was tailing the enemy chakra's essence. The fox managed to give the numbers of enemies and much information their chakra could provide to the fox. Naruto, Shikamaru and Shino already knew about their affinities and chakra levels, as well as their numbers. Apparently, there were 5 of them, with 3 Jounin level shinobi and 2 Shoyunin level. All of them were earth-based, but the last piece of information acted as more confirmation than anything else. The information would exist in case one of the group possessed an affinity that wasn't peculiar to Earth Country. Also, their chakra levels were considerably high, so in the end, the Anbu group would need a vital strategy to be able to reclaim the contract without them destroying it, and then engage in battle with the missing nins, with the odds against them. Onmitsu, once we reach their hideout, we'll stop and oversee a plan I've gathered. We'll need both Tsukai, messenger, and Yurei, spy, for this one, said Naruto, earning a nod from the fox in front of him until Shikamaru and Shino regrouped. "What do you plan to do?" asked Shikamaru while looking forward to the fox. "Once we reach the facility, Onmitsu will locate the contract and point it to us. Just like Onmitsu, I have 4 more foxes at my disposal. Yuri will be the one entering the place and take the contract, and give it to Tsukai, who will deliver the contract to our client, thus leaving the fight for us. If all goes well, we'll regroup in order to plan our battle strategy. Don't worry, though, these foxes will get the job done," explained Naruto, earning a nod from Shino and Shikamaru, before they created some distance between each other so as to cover more ground. As the group moved, Shino's bugs would provide cover for them in case of a setup, so he was the last one, and with Onmitsu in front with his heightened nose and chakra sensors, he could spot any chakra-related trap more than a mile away. It took 5 minutes to reach the place, and the team plus the fox was now hidden behind the dark vegetation that seemed to surround the camp. The camp's location was badly picked, the Anbus could tell. Sure, they are well hidden because of the vegetation around the place, but should someone find them, the Iwa's exile wouldn't be able to know where the attack comes from or even prepare in advance. The detective fox, in seconds, closed his eyes and used his abilities to feel all 5 presences. The facility involved a group of 4 tents merged together to form a little base of operations, and Onmitsu managed to find the most likely place for the contract to be, since it was being guarded by 2 Jounin-level shinobi. After reporting to Naruto, he made the hand seals once more for the Kuchiyos, and this time, both Yuri and Tsukai appeared, before greeting their summoner. "Greetings, Onmitsu already explained it to me. I'm back in a second," said Yuri, before focusing chakra to his fur and changing to a color more suited for 100% invisibility, and disappeared from view, surprising both Shikamaru and Shino. Naruto, both, addressed Tsukai regarding his part of the mission. "Tsukai, after Yuri returns with the contract, you'll deliver it to our client. I believe Onmitsu already informed you of his appearance and name," asked Naruto, earning a nod from the messenger fox, before turning to see nothing. However, what once was nothing but air now became Yuri as he switched to a color that the human eye could see, before handling the contract to Naruto to study. After being satisfied, Naruto gave the contract to Tsukai, who focused chakra to his feet and vanished towards the client's manor. After thanking the foxes and dismissing them, Naruto turned to his Anbu peers in order to organize a plan of attack. The enemy was focused on earth ninjutsu, so apart from Tai and Genjutsu skills, their ninjutsu revolved exclusively on Doten. That left Shikamaru out of the front line, thus being on the defensive with his shadow jutsus. Shino and Naruto had the upper hand because of their Reitan affinity. The plan was simple, which consisted of testing their abilities with physical fighting first. Shikamaru and Shino understood the plan and nodded, before the group vanished from the hiding place and in seconds, appeared right in front of the tent, immediately getting the enemy's attention. One of the Jounin, upon seeing the Anbu from Konoha, smirked before turning to scream. "Oh Maruishi, tear the contract to shreds. We warned that imbecile that should he contact anyone, the contract will be destroyed, and now he'll suffer the consequences," said the man named Gansky, before hearing Maruishi screaming an okay from the back. Gansky was still smirking, even though a little suspicious, since the ones from Konoha were just standing there, not doing anything to stop them from destroying the contract. It only took 2 seconds until the man's partner Maruishi appeared screaming that the contract disappeared, before Naruto began speaking. "Here is the deal, missing nins. You surrender yourselves to us, and will be handled to Iwa for a much lesser penalty. It's your choice," said Naruto, earning a snort from the leader Gansky. "What a jackass, you damn well know that going back to Iwa means prison for life. I prefer the other way," smirked Gansky, before giving the signal for the others to show up. Naruto, though, stopped crossing his arms and reached for his ninjato. "When I said a lesser penalty, that meant that you'd at least be able to walk out of here alive. But since you chose not to, I guess you just gave us authorization to kill you folks and just send your heads to the Tsushikage on a silver platter. Anbu team, the plan is set. Let's go." "Kage Bunshin no Jutsu," said Naruto, before 2 clones appeared next to him, evening the odds. The next thing, Naruto, Shikamaru and Shino attacked the Iwa's exile with straight-out kenjutsu, in ways of testing their skills. Before one of them started to make hand seals for a jutsu, Naruto was already ahead of the man with his unique genjutsu style. The man immediately saw Naruto coming out from the left, and he turned to aim the jutsu. However, he failed to foresee that he left an opening for the real Naruto to deliver the killing blow to the man's chest. The fight barely started and one of the Shoyunin was already killed. The clones were dispatched easily by the two Jounin, but at least Naruto managed to learn that they are taijutsu experts. Shino and Shikamaru fought in straight taijutsu against the other Shoyunin, but instead of going for the immediate killing like Naruto did, they preferred to play safe. Besides, it seemed that they excelled more in taijutsu than in other areas. The team from Konoha did some backflips and landed on a safe distance away from the enemy, before Naruto ushered a new plan. Antelope and Beetle, you guys take on the Shoyunin, leave the Jounin to me, said Naruto, to which Shikamaru at first protested, but seeing that Naruto was the leader, his hands were tied in the manner. Immediately, Shino and Shikamaru vanished, and so the two Shoyunin as well, thus leaving Naruto to fetch himself against the two Jounin, who were actually Maruishi and Gansky. You'll pay for killing our friend Anbu. You may be fast and extremely proficient in genjutsu, but while you managed to fool a Shoyunin, you can't fool us, Jounin, said Gansky, but Naruto only remained in the same fighting pose. In blinding speed, Naruto charged the enemy, once more with the genjutsu, but this time Maruishi managed to dispel it immediately after being casted, so genjutsu was out of the picture. Gansky smiled at his partner before making hand seals for Doten Doryu Dango, Earth Release, Mausoleum, Earth Dumpling Jutsu. Seeing the incoming ball of mud, Naruto focused chakra to his feet and dashed to the left while making hand seals for an extremely useful technique and one that the Jounin wasn't expecting, called Foten de Tapa, Wind Release, Great Breakthrough Jutsu. After sending the immense gust of wind, both Gansky and Maruishi were sent out flying, but Naruto wouldn't let this change go by, and he threw some shurikens at the enemy, who were focusing on escaping from the wind and didn't saw the incoming projectiles. Most of them caused damage, followed by a snarling coming from Gansky, who cursed the Anbu ninja from the dirty blow. Thanking the heavens that the shurikens didn't hit their arms or legs, the two Jounin yanked them out from their chest, and then attacked Naruto together in full-out taijutsu. Immediately, upon seeing the attack, Naruto got ready for the assault by focusing chakra to his feet, before dashing straight forward in order to halt the enemy's assault. Naruto's speed surprised the Jounin as they switched to defensive mode in order to defend from Naruto's incoming kicks. After Gansky managed to defend Naruto's reverse kick from the left, Maruishi tried to aim a strong punch to Naruto's jaw, to which Naruto dodged just in time and jumped for a roundhouse kick aimed for Maruishi's chest, but the kick was stopped by Gansky, who positioned his arm towards defending his partner's open chest. Maruishi took the lead and moved for a frontal kick towards disabling Naruto's defense, but Naruto managed to grab the man's leg before landing a low kick to Maruishi's right knee, earning a loud scream from the poor man, who couldn't help but fall on the ground and hold his leg in a desperate attempt to stop the pain. Maruishi was done for and wouldn't get back up on the fight. However, when Naruto was moving in for the killing blow, Gansky came for the rescue and landed a straight punch at Naruto's chest, before sending the blonde on the ground. Not one to lose track, Naruto used the momentum and placed his hands on the ground, before flipping his body to stand still. The missing nins from Iwa didn't even see the series of hand seals Naruto was doing, but instead all they could see was what appeared to be a lightning lion opening his mouth before thousands and thousands of bolts shocked their entire system. With Shikamaru and Shino . After separating from Naruto, Shino and Shikamaru decided to join forces in taking care of the two Shoyunin in front of them. In fact, their abilities wasn't what one could say above average. Even though they didn't outright kill one of them like Naruto did, Shino and Shikamaru were merely testing the enemy's skills, and to be quite frank, they didn't measure to an Anbu's level of skill. Nevertheless, the first lesson that a ninja must learn once in Anbu is never to underestimate the enemy. Be always on guard no matter the circumstances. Do you think he's alright? He is fighting against two Jounin-level shinobi? Asked Shino, while staring at the enemy before hearing Shikamaru snort in disbelief at his teammate worrying about Naruto's welfare. Don't worry about him. There isn't a soul in Anbu that don't question Black Wolf's skills and even spread rumors about him. Plus, he trained with the best. I'm sure he will deal with the Jounin in no time. Now, I believe we should worry about these guys, and then go assist our leader, explained Shikamaru, earning a nod from Shino, before both vanished and appeared in mid-air, throwing shurikens at the opponents. Immediately grabbing kunai, the ones from Iwa managed to defend themselves from the incoming projectiles. Seeing that the Anbu were still in mid-air, the team from Iwa began making hand seals for Doten Damu, Earth Release, Earth Spear Jutsu. Instantly, 4 spears materialized from the ground and landed in their hands, before they threw at Shino and Shikamaru. Acknowledging the attack, Shikamaru approached Shino and the bug user let out his bugs for the Aberame defensive jutsu. The spears hit the bug wall, before vaporizing in thin air. Actually, since Shino's bugs feed themselves on chakra, the spears served as a delicious meal to them. Seeing that the enemy was focusing their attention on Shino's bugs, Shikamaru used his Kage Main no Jutsu, shadow binding technique, and instantly his shadow began to spread along the open field and managed to get a hold on both of the enemy's shadow, without their knowledge, since Shino's bugs were at first representing the bigger treat. However, when they tried to move their bodies, surprise struck them as they saw the shadow beam, leaving Shikamaru and reaching their shadows. You two were focusing so much on my comrade's attack that you forgot about me. Now, you can't move and thus you're open for an attack, explained Shikamaru, earning a snarl from the Shoyunin. Release us this moment, you coward. You Konoha ninjas are all the same with your special bloodlines and stupid tricks, mumbled one of the Shoyunin, but this time was Shino who spoke. A ninja must be prepared for what lies underneath the underneath. It's not because of our bloodlines that we were able to win this fight, but rather skill and experience to use them effectively. Now, since I believe you know about the Kaikeyaku bugs and their hunger for chakra, you too will be on their menu. However, both of you could still give up and we will spare your life. It's your choice, asked Shino, before hearing the once silent one screaming obscenities for both Shino and Shikamaru, but he never could since the bugs attacked the Shoyunin and sucked them dry of chakra in minutes. After they left and returned to Shino's body, the Shoyunin's life force was all but sucked by the bugs and without energy, they would be dead. So, only gravity was necessary to send their bodies to the ground. Man, such troublesome waste of chakra. We could, at least, discuss the plan with Naruto beforehand. Beetle, let's head to leader, but first we need to seal these corpses to be later delivered to the Tsushikage, said Shikamaru, to which Shino nodded, before both of them grabbed a body sealing scroll for each corpse. Afterwards, they vanished only to appear at the end of Naruto's fight when they saw a huge lightning lion opening his mouth and engulfing both Jounins, before hearing their screams echoing through the open field. Needless to say, both of them were dead, the minute thousands and thousands of bolts raced through their system. Seeing his team returned unscathed, Naruto smiled and turned to address his peers. Good job, team, let's head back to the client and see what he has to say about this whole mess, said Naruto, to which Shino and Shikamaru nodded as they handled their scrolls to Naruto, who in turn looked at them. Maybe next time, we can be set up against a more worthy opponent. Let's head back, sighed Naruto, once again earning nods of acknowledgement from Shino and Shikamaru as the group began to jump between trees to get back. Shikamaru, though, couldn't help but want to get a rise at Naruto. Oh Naruto, you could have left at least one Jounin with us, you know. The Shoyunin went out with only one attack, the Jounin could at least offer a better challenge, said Shikamaru, before hearing Naruto laugh at Shikamaru's comment. Sorry about that, Shika. I thought that when they managed to break my genjutsu so quickly, that their skills were worth something, but in the end, they weren't much. The next time, if we are set up once more, it will be you guys who get to fight the strongest of them, Deal asked Naruto, before hearing Shikamaru mutter the word troublesome, and smiled. Shikamaru knew enough not to underestimate Anbu's level missions. He damn well knew that at any moment, one slip occurs and his life ends. At Kato's residence . After the ninjas from Anbu returned to the client's house, Naruto was quite surprised to see a much familiar person talking with their client while showing a satisfied look on his face. As you can see, Tazuna Dono, everything is in order for our business to flourish, said Kato, until the sight of the Anbis inside his house caught his attention. The man smiled and then turned to Tazuna, who in turn also spotted the three shinobis standing there with their arms crossed. For some unknown reason, the wave daimyo focused his eyes on the one wearing a black mask. Tazuna could see that the man was blonde, which in turn resembled the little kid from so long ago, who saved their village and made it prosper. Kato only smiled, before adjusting his black suit and began to explain. Oh, I see you met the team of shinobi I hired for an errand of mine, nothing to worry about since the mission was accomplished, I presume, asked Kato, earning a nod from Shikamaru, who in turn thanked the heavens for wearing a mask. Shikamaru couldn't help but smile at the client's pathetic attempt of hiding what really happened with the contract, but Shikamaru knew better. As a future heir, he knew that when money is involved, sometimes telling something that would endanger the negotiator's reputation would be better off keeping a secret. Naruto, though, wondered what Tazuna was staring at him for. Of course, he met the old man briefly at the mission towards Wave Country and took care of the shipping magnate Gedo and his band of mercenaries. However, Naruto wasn't the only one there, since his sensei at the time managed to beat the most dangerous adversary. Naruto was caught by surprise when Tazuna addressed him, albeit not by his real name. "Tell me something," black-masked Anbu, "a long time a kid of your village managed to help us grow strong. I was wondering if you know about Uzumaki Naruto," asked Tazuna. Naruto, for his part, felt tempted to simply let go of the mask and say hello there, but he couldn't though. Tazuna, Tsunami, Inari and Haku were one of Naruto's precious people when he was young, and no matter what changed, Naruto would always remember those who treated him nicely in his life. However, an Anbu just couldn't reveal his or her identity, and that was the rule, no exceptions. "Sorry Daimyo-sama, but said name brings me no recollection whatsoever. Now, Kato-san, I believe our work here is done, so my team and I will be heading back to our village," said Naruto, to which Kato nodded. Immediately, Naruto turned to leave but saw that Shikamaru and Shino didn't turn at first, but shortly after, they turned and left the house towards Konoha. On the way, no words were shared. Naruto chose a strategy position where he could be farther than Shikamaru and Shino, thus managing to cover more angles. That served for two purposes, one professional and one personal. The professional was obviously not falling on a trap. The personal, though, was that Naruto was thinking about the old man once more. Naruto felt the man wanted to say thanks for everything he and Team 7 did for Wave Country, but Naruto was an Anbu and as such, he had to abide by the Anbu Code of Conduct, which clearly states that no Anbu should reveal his or her identity under penalty of being expelled from the Anbu Order and returned to the Jounin position. Shikamaru and Shino remained on the rear, looking at their leader up front. They wondered about what the daimyo said about Naruto helping the country to stand once more, and truth be told, they were curious. Also, they could easily feel at the time how much Naruto fought to keep his mask on, instead of revealing his identity. But just like Naruto, everyone who ever passed through the Anbu forces had to make an blood oath to never reveal his or her identity under penalty of being stripped of the rank and become a regular Jounin. "Do you think we should go talk to him?" asked Shikamaru, before looking at his partner in crime. "I'm afraid I'm not the most suitable person for you to ask. My family teaching is purely based on logics, whereas this situation requires someone who's well versed in understanding emotions," explained Shino, earning a sigh in dismay from Shikamaru. "How troublesome. You know, you could just say you didn't know, it would be easier," said Shikamaru, but Shino didn't bother to offer a reply to Shikamaru's comment. With Jiraiya . After a while of discussions, each set to different paths, and Jiraiya was heading back to Konoha. Thanks to Itachi, the info regarding the Fuinjutsu was complete. According to Itachi, the technique consisted of their leader summoning a demon statue who held the Bajo's aura. The members would then use chakra simultaneously to initiate the extraction technique. For now, that was okay, Jiraiya considered. He placed a condition for Itachi that he would be placed on suspension until Jiraiya could be certain that Itachi wouldn't backstab Konoha and capture Naruto. Now this was a subject that interested the Sannin. Naruto was building an interesting reputation, and even the mighty Uchiha Itachi is interested in fighting the Black Wolf Anbu. Nevertheless, Jiraiya needed to treat this situation carefully, because the consequences might be gigantic. Also, Jiraiya wouldn't even consider trading Naruto's safety in exchange for some secondary information that will only lead to the need of new clues to unravel more information. The pervert knew one thing, though, Tsunade would have to know, and she could very well kill him this time for associating with a S-ranked missing nin who in the past only wanted to capture Naruto. Needless to say, Jiraiya was already fearing the beating he would be about to receive after he drops the nuclear bomb. Chapter 20, A Snake on the Move. It was already morning in Konoha, and the sunlight started greeting the Hokage monument to what could be better described as one of Konoha's postal cards. Normally, just by seeing what a beautiful day it would be, one couldn't help but push all bad thoughts aside and lose himself in the midst of the sight as the sunlight would dance with the trees and lakes of the village. However, there was only one person that didn't feel the need to smile despite the nice day, and that was the village's very leader Senju Tsunade. Reason. Well, despite having to wake up early for a meeting with the Council of Elders only for it to be cancelled because Homura became sick out of a sudden, that wasn't the reason why Tsunade was angry. In fact, in all her life, there were only a handful of problems that hadn't been caused by the very person in front of her now, to whom the woman blamed pretty much all her problems on, except for her fiancé and brother's death, of course. A few minutes ago, her old teammate and one of the San Andrea came in with the news of a new ally that would able to help him gather all relevant information about the trapping demon technique in exchange for one simple request. Normally, Tsunade would say yes without a second thought, the possibility of avoiding the QB from being captured worth anything in her book. Of course, it would be unless the man that revealed the information wasn't Uchiha Itachi, member of the very organization who's after Naruto for what he carries inside him and of his request to fight Naruto, or rather, Black Wolf, in a duel to see who the strongest shinobi is. And the worst part of this was that her teammate was a joker at heart and she quite expected this to be just another one of his jokes, but his oddly serious face told her otherwise, and she could very well envision herself rubbing her temples because of the future headache she would feel. So you're saying that Itachi came to you and bluntly agreed with telling you everything he knows about Akatsuki, and he wishes, in exchange for the information, to fight against the Anbu who managed to defeat Hoshikage Kasami, is that correct? Asked Tsunade, before seeing a nod from the one in front of her. You can still start laughing at my face and say that you've caught me. I won't mind, snorted Tsunade, while already rubbing her temples. It isn't a joke, Tsunade Heim. Itachi does not know about the Anbu's identity. From what I could tell, he just wants to test himself against skillful opponents. I've given him another condition, which acts like a probation clause of sorts. Until either you or I are satisfied with the information he would give, we won't need to reach the end of our bargain, meaning that Naruto won't have to fight him. We have to think of the bigger picture here, Tsunade. I know that we might be handling Kyuubi on a silver platter to the Akatsuki, but that won't happen unless we have vital information to disrupt their organization at once, explained Drio until he saw Tsunade place both her hands below her chin in thought while absorbing every word of Drea's explanation. What if your relation with him backfires and he's just doing this to lure his way into the village and manage to capture Naruto? What would you do then? Plus, we have one in our shinobi force who is dying to shove a Kudari up Adachi's ass a couple of times. What would happen if Sasuke had knowledge of this? He'll go ballistic, that's for sure, asked Tsunade, to which Jiraiya frowned in dismay, from not counting the minor traitor into consideration. Jiraiya considered Sasuke to be a traitor, cause in his book, if it wasn't for Naruto beating him half to death and brought him by force, the Uchiha would still be serving under the big traitor Orochimaru. You could declare an S-ranked secret only to be known by us and maybe Naruto, since in the end, he would be fighting Itachi, and I guess he deserved to know the real reason, don't you think? Asked Jiraiya, earning a nod from Tsunade, who in turn began to think. Surely, this opportunity was too much to pass by, since they wouldn't be getting information from suspicious sources, rather one of the organization's members himself. But the problem remained, since if she agrees to this then Itachi would have his fight against Naruto, which remains to be her doubt in this manner. Jiraiya, would you grade him able to cope against someone as Itachi? I'm sure his Naruto has become a force to be reckoned with, but to face Itachi is a feat not even Kakashi managed, and he has 10 years more of experience. Asked Tsunade, before seeing Jiraiya frown at the question and cross his arms. True, the kid got enormous potential to top Itachi in skills, but indeed experience was something that prevented one from being killed, and certainly Itachi has way more experience. Not to mention that Itachi holds a better Sharingan than Sasuke, and should he use it on Naruto, the results could be catastrophic. You raised a valid point here, Tsunade. Were it another one of the Akatsuki, Naruto would be able to cope well against, but I'm more worried about his further developed Sharingan. Whereas Sasuke could anticipate the opponent's movements, Itachi could use his to damage one's mind, and I don't know how Naruto would take being on the end of a Tsukuyomi. We could talk to Kakashi and see his standpoint in this. After all, not only he has a Sharingan, but he also spars with Naruto from time to time. He could grant us a better explanation of Naruto's skills so far and his position, whether or not Naruto could beat Itachi in a fight, advised Jiraiya, before looking at the Hokage, who in turn nodded her head in approval. I gave his team a day off after the last mission. I'll have to reach him back in his home. Shizune, call Kakashi for me, I need to talk to H. said Tsunade, but was interrupted once she heard a third voice. You don't need to call me Tsunade-sama, I'm already here, said Kakashi as he was reading his favorite book while in his jounin attire. I happen to sometimes be on top of the Hokage's tower to be lazy. I mean to catch up on my reading. Also, I kind of overheard your discussion a bit. You wanted my opinion on Naruto's skills against Itachi, right? Asked Kakashi, before looking up for a while with a hand on his chin, not at all bothered to see that Tsunade wasn't so pleased to learn that he was hearing everything. Jiraiya for his part couldn't help but smile at how easily one could piss off his old teammate until he saw the silver-haired shinobi narrow his view towards the Hokage to answer. Naruto has exceeded every single expectations of my own to the point that I believe him to be on par with an Akatsuki member. He managed to overcome every single flaw in his skills and even improved all of them. His ninjutsu is off the charts, tai and kenjutsu as well, and his genjutsu aids him a lot. In fact, he even devised a new fighting style that relies heavily on illusions. However, against the Sharingan it wouldn't be effective. Regarding experience, Naruto is constantly testing himself whether on the mission whether inside his mind, said Kakashi, before seeing the doubted look on the Sanin's face. What do you mean inside his mind, Kakashi? Asked Jiraiya. QB is a very creative demon, it appears. By using Naruto's memories, he can recreate past enemies and even allies to have a fight against Naruto. For instance, Naruto already fought against Momoki Zabuza and Yamato, for what I heard. The interesting thing is that the enemies each have one tail worth of Kyuubi's power and still Naruto was able to win, meaning he has gained much experience from these fights. I'm pretty sure he already fought against other enemies, but I never thought of asking. Naruto right now borders higher ranked in skills without even relying on Kyuubi's chakra, and I'm sure he is S-ranked with one tail's worth of the fox's chakra, said Kakashi, earning a surprised nod from those present until he spoke once more. Nevertheless, Naruto won't use the fox's chakra from fear of the beast escaping, so he's higher ranked. Well, Naruto's chakra coils will be in constant expansion, because of the QB inside of him, so if he can improve his skills for his fight against Itachi, then he could have a higher chance of success, said Tsunade, earning a nod from Jiraiya until Kakashi chose to speak. Right now, the only aspect left he needs to work is his experience, Tsunade-sama. I doubt that there is much he needs to improve, rather than learning how to use his known techniques in battle with more efficiency. He trains constantly with me and the rest of the team, but that's not enough. He needs to train with tough shinobi constantly to expand his knowledge of fighting, said Kakashi with his arms still crossed. Tsunade and Jiraiya couldn't help but agree with him. Then, I'll agree with Itachi's request, Jiraiya. However, I'm afraid Naruto will have to make a huge step in his training. There are a couple S-ranked missions stacked, waiting to be assigned, and I'll pick one suited for his skills in combat. You're dismissed, Kakashi, said Tsunade, earning a nod from the Jounin, before he left via Shunshin. With Naruto . Because of his day off, Naruto was found spending time with the one that captured his heart. When Kurenai heard the news of Naruto's vacation, she was ecstatic to the point of planning a great number of activities to do together. She and Naruto already spent a wonderful time inside the shower and in the kitchen, which the woman still had the decency to blush while remembering how she loved feeling him all over the place twice. Now, they were having some lunch at a place that was famous in Konoha for its sushi. Actually, both Kurenai and Naruto decided to change their taste in food, since it was either ramen or dango, and the fact that Naruto tasted sushi for the first time and loved it brought a smile on her face, seeing as now the couple could choose other types of food. So Naruto-kun, tell me. You're about to tell your mission with Shikamaru and Shino until the waiter interrupted? How was it? Asked Kurenai while remembering the genjutsu she put the man who didn't want to serve their table because of her boyfriend under. Naruto for his turn nodded. It wasn't so bad, Kure-chan, it was actually the first mission. I went as captain. Shikamaru and Shino are both smarter than me in so many ways that I thought they wouldn't agree with my plans. But to my surprise, they did, and even Shikamaru call me takeout. The mission itself went smoothly as well, while it was shinobi lean more on numbers than skills, hence why we didn't have such a hard time defeating them. Also, this was the first mission I managed to use the foxes that Kyuubi provided me with, explained Naruto, earning a smile from his beloved, in return filling Naruto's heart with warmth as he found that he carved said reaction from the one he loves. Shino told me, though, you encountered one friend from your past, is that right? He said that you couldn't review your identity, so you couldn't greet him, asked Kurenai, earning a sad nod from the blonde. Yes, his name is Tazuna and now the feudal lord of Wave Country. He was part of my first C-ranked mission that turned into an A-ranked one because of Zabuz's involvement. At the time, Tazuna hired us for his protection, since he was building a bridge that would link Wave Country with Fire Country, thus freeing his land from the power of a businessman called Gaidu. Because of our team, Gaidu was killed and Tazuna managed to finish the bridge, and from the looks of it, the country is now flourishing with new deals and trades all over the elemental nations. I really wanted to visit his family one day, you know. I've also became good friends with his grandson Inari, said Naruto as he smiled upon seeing some memories flashing before his eyes. Well, maybe if the Hokage grants you another vacation, we can go there and make a visit. I'm sure that this Tazuna person will enjoy seeing you once more, and Inari as well, said Kurenai as the waiter arrived, not even bothering to look at Naruto before placing their dish with different types of sushi and sashimi. As they ate in comfortable silence while looking at each other, they didn't see a familiar couple arriving at the restaurant before stopping right in front of their table. Naruto, Kurenai-sensei, how's going? Asked Shikamaru as he was holding hands with his girlfriend Ino. Hi there Shika, I see you got a day off as well, please join us for lunch, said Naruto, to which the couple nodded and each took a chair before each duo entered in a conversation. Ino and Kurenai began to talk about a new kimono that Shikamaru's mother gave to her as a present, while Naruto and Shikamaru were engrossed in a shinobi-type conversation regarding their last mission. At the Anbu HQ . It was already late at night and Yamato was busy inside his office at the Anbu HQ handling with a couple of mission reports that needed to be signed. Of course, just like any bureaucratic assignments, he had to deal with a lot of subjects that weren't related to the shinobi way of life, like their division's budget and some disciplinary complaints of 2 Anbu members that chose to fight over the last set of dango available at the restaurant. He now had a newfound respect for the Hokage, since she must have faced worse situations to handle. Yamato could only shiver from the thought of dealing with every single ninja inside Konoha, ranging from genin to jounin. The man was about to finish everything and go home for the day when a person he never thought to see outside the interrogation chambers walked inside his office. Hello there Yamato-sama, said Ibiki while bowing in respect for his fellow Anbu commander. It's good to see you Ibiki-sama. What can I do for the Anbu Black Ops, asked Yamato as he knew of Ibiki's promotion to commander of a different Anbu division, called the Anbu Black Ops. They were responsible for protecting Konoha from the shadows, with S-ranked missions that only the Hokage herself knew, and should any shinobi be captured, his or her body would burn because of a seal in order to erase any evidence of Konoha's involvement in the matter. Yamato himself worked a few times for said organization before retiring from it. He could choose to be a full-fledged jounin or return to the regular Anbu, so he chose the latter. Since my promotion to chief of the Black Ops, I failed to encounter competent shinobi to perform our missions, but I became rather intrigued about a team of yours and I was hoping to grant them the position, said Ibiki, though Yamato already suspected which team was the man referring to, but he chose to remain silent as Ibiki said it. Anbu Team 5 has an impressive record of successful missions on their hands, and it's composed of highly experienced and skilled shinobi like Hatake Kakashi and the one that surprised me the most, Uzumaki Naruto. I know that they are amongst your division's finest shinobis, but they caught my interest. What you say? Asked Ibiki, before seeing Yamato think for a while. Black Ops mission are dangerous Ibiki-sama, and risking someone as famous as Kakashi-senpai is not something the Hokage would wish for Konoha. Also, Naruto himself has created a name for himself. I have no problem with transferring this team to your division, but the Hokage must have the final word on this matter, said Yamato, pointing out his opinion to Ibiki, who in turn nodded and turned to leave, but not before saying goodbye to Yamato and scheduling a meeting with the Hokage in order to discuss this change. The next day at the Hokage's office. After arriving at her office, Tsunade grabbed her stack of S-ranked missions to be assigned to her shinobi staff. She was looking for something that could really test Naruto's skills, since he would need the experience for his battle against Itachi. Pausing for a while, she wondered whether or not her decision was the right one, considering the danger of the situation. Itachi is considered an S-ranked shinobi for a very good reason, and for all the experience Naruto has gathered, she doubted that the blonde could win if Itachi fought seriously. Not even wanting to dwell on such a thought, she found one from the stack of missions that was suited for what she intended for Naruto. Apparently, a village located near the border between Wind and Fire Country is being terrorized by a Kumo, a ranked missing nin, although his name and abilities were unknown, since the village has no ninjas whatsoever. At first, she wondered if the information was accurate, since no one would have knowledge of ninja ranks, but it's better to send someone and be wrong than send a team of Shuyunin, and then having to inform their families because of her bad judgment. The mayor of the village requested assistance of elite shinobi who could deal with the situation and save the village. Normally, she would have sent a couple of jounins to deal with the missing nin, but since this would be a test for Naruto, she will send him alone for the deed. However, she very well knew that sending an Anbu alone is suicide and terribly against the village's policy, no matter if this is a test or not. At the very least, she could send Kakashi in this mission to aid him if possible, but let him fight against the enemy. Smirking at her ingenuity, Tsunade also created one primal objective, and that would be capturing the missing nin instead of killing him. The reason was that Kumo was getting restless ever since they placed Naruto in their bingo book, and from some investigation reports, they've increased the training rhythm of their genins, meaning that they are expecting to building up a sizable army against Konoha. So, by sending one of their missing nins for them to deal with will be served as an act of good faith by the Leaf Village, thus hoping to avoid a major conflict, or at least that's what she hoped. Kumo was and still remains a wild card that shouldn't be left out of sight. They happen to focus on an intermediate term between numbers like Iwa and abilities like Konoha. Pressing the communication button, she called for Shizune. Shizune, create a new S-ranked mission for Anbu member Black Wolf and Anbu member Dog. The prospect is on my desk, and also call them in here in 15 minutes for debriefing, ordered Tsunade from the intercom, earning an OK and acknowledgement from her assistant before the Hokage returned to other mission reports that were stacked on the left side of her table. As he read through the reports, she found one from Sasuke's Shuyunin team that entailed an infiltration mission next to Iwa territory. Their mission objective was to get in contact with Jiraiya that was hiding there and retrieve some information he had about Iwa's activities. According to the report, the team encountered some Jounin-level shinobi, but they were subdued easily and without leaving any traces for the rock village to follow towards Konoha. Leave it to Jiraiya to use his toads to vanish with the bodies. Well, at least I don't have to hear the old geezer of a Tsuchikage demanding some form of retribution for the whole thing. Also, the information is not of great importance. Apparently, a new Tsuchikage will be nominated in a couple of months, and there are two worthy candidates. One from the report has the support of the Jounin, or the other has the council's back, aka a political asshole in my opinion. I don't believe that either one would want to harm us, but it's nice to keep in touch with these sorts of things, thought Tsunade until she heard the noise of her intercom buzzing. Tsunade-sama, I've already sent the message to Black Wolf and Dog, they are sure to appear anytime, now said Shizune, but before Tsunade pressed the button to respond, she saw two different Shunshin techniques in front of her before Naruto and Kakashi appeared in front of her. However, she had the decency to sigh in dismay upon seeing the dog-masked Anbu reading that pervert's book. Kakashi, seriously, I thought you'd drop this book once and for all? Asked Tsunade, before seeing Kakashi taking his face, or rather his mask, off the book and close it before placing it inside his kunai pouch. My apologies, Hokage-sama, I just needed to do some catching up, that's all, said Kakashi, though Naruto, sighing in dismay at his sensei's answer, spoke for her as well, so she dismissed and began the briefing. == an Amigakure == Sitting on top of the highest building in Amigakure, Pine was downright furious at his predicament. It began with the Sanbi's escape from the statue and then Zetsu's disappearance. The organization leader tried using the astral projection technique to call for Zetsu wherever the man was, but for some reason, Pine couldn't feel his presence, and he now wondered if the man found the three-tailed demon. There is a possibility that Sanbi managed to defeat Zetsu before he had the opportunity to track the monster, or a third party came in and defeated him, which to Pine was highly unlikely. Zetsu was more of a tracker than a fighter, but even so, he was considered an S-ranked missing nin from Kusa, and as such, he wouldn't be finished by just anyone without even communicating with his leader. Now, with Zetsu gone, Pine could only count with Itachi and Tobi, Madara in disguise. Itachi was sent to retrieve the Hachibai, but so far, the man didn't send him any information about his whereabouts, which also infuriated Pine to his very core. The technique responsible for capturing the last-tailed demons required at least 2 new sources of chakra aside from the still-alive members, meaning that he would have to recruit once more. Also, there is the fact of capturing the tailed demons, since both the Hachibai and the Kyuubi are nowhere in sight. He then concluded in reaching Itachi to see about his whereabouts, so he focused on the ram seal for the inner projection technique and reach Itachi. However, after consecutive tries, he had nothing, just like Zetsu. Pine was beginning to be suspicious about everything. Both Zetsu and Itachi vanished from out of nowhere. Snarling, Pine got up from the statue and set out for a new objective. He would investigate the reasons for Itachi's disappearance and get to the bottom of this mess. With Orochimaru . Looking at Kabuto's corpse, Orochimaru couldn't help but laugh in excitement because of his final achievement. Since Kabuto was dead, Orochimaru didn't need to worry about the after effects of the cursed seal level 3. After bringing Kabuto back from the dead with his Edo Tensei Jutsu, Orochimaru activated his new cursed seal on his body in order to see the results of the experiment. To his surprise and delight, Kabuto managed to use the 3rd level of the cursed seal perfectly. Whether or not it worked because of his regenerative abilities, the Snake Sannin didn't know, but the fact remained that Orochimaru did succeed to create the perfect soldier to do his deeds and for the final kidnapping of Sasuke Uchiha so that Orochimaru could finally get the Sharingan. As he looked, he noticed that Kabuto was just opening his eyes and facing his master with that creepy smile on his face. "Orochimaru-sama, how may I assist you?" asked the 4-eye zombie, earning a snicker from Orochimaru. "Your first order, Kabuto, will be to eliminate the Kyuubi brat once and for all. If I want Sasuke here, that brat will have to be dealt with at once," ordered Orochimaru, earning a nod from Kabuto as he adjusted his glasses, before he heard Orochimaru speak again. "The only problem is that not one of my sources can locate him inside Konoha, which means that you'll have to find him yourself." "I won't return until I find him and kill him," said Kabuto before he left the premises, towards finding his target, while listening to Orochimaru's never-ending evil laughter echoing through the hallway. With Naruto and Kakashi . After a day of traveling, Naruto and Kakashi were now hidden behind the dense woodland that happened to protect the very village they were going to. Their mission was simple, yet not at the same time. Kakashi explained to Naruto the difference between subduing an enemy and killing an enemy, and to tell the truth, Naruto didn't like it one bit. Subduing the enemy meant that he would have to hold back on his techniques so that he doesn't kill him, but the enemy won't have any problem to go all out on Naruto, which meant the blonde was in heavy disadvantage. Not to mention that Tsunade explained that Kakashi was only here for precautions and that only he would engage the enemy in combat. When being asked if there was a problem, he said nothing. But the fact remained that this was the first time he'd have to hold back against an enemy, and any mistake could prove to be fatal. "This is bullshit," snarled Naruto for no one to hear, but apparently, Kakashi sighed in dismay before turning to his now impetuous student. "Calm down, Naruto, this isn't the first time that a ninja is ordered to subdue an enemy. There are times when killing an enemy can lead to dangerous consequences, so it's in our best interest to avoid it. Now, can you sense some heavy chakra on this whereabouts?" asked Kakashi, earning a nod from Naruto. "Yes, I can. It's weak, but he's probably far from us right now," considering that the request was legit, explained Naruto, to which Kakashi nodded, and focused on his senses for a while, before drawing the same conclusion as his student. "Be careful, though. We don't know about his chakra control, he could be disguising it well," advised Kakashi, before the two Anbus proceeded with care throughout the foliage. Actually, Kakashi already knew that the guy was waiting for them while crouched behind a big rock, but he would let Naruto acknowledge the man's presence and engage him in battle. Naruto for his turn was going straight for the rock, basing purely on his instinct. Suddenly, he felt a rise in temperature before his instincts told him to jump, to which he obeyed. He realized after 1 second that his instincts proved to be correct, seeing as a huge fireball smashed the rock into tiny pieces and would have hit him head-on if he remained in the same direction. After the smoke subsided, a sudden shape appeared before his appearance could be seen 100%. The Kumo-slashed insignia was evident on the man's forehead, and his really spiked blonde hair added by the mad smile on his face gave every indication of a total lunatic just wanting to torch everything. Still, seeing a Kumo shinobi with the ability of using katana ninjutsu like this was new, which proved to be quite troublesome to Naruto since he didn't exactly use his second affinity much, rather adapting his fighting style to Photon and Reitan techniques. So, it appears that the people of this pitiful village managed to reach Konoha's ears. I'm flattered that those dogs would send a couple of their puppy Anbus after me. Let's make this quick, I have the whole village to burn, said the man, before falling on a fighting stance. Naruto followed suit, though he realized that his opponent not once tried to shorten the distance between them, meaning that he plans to attack him with long-range attacks. I hate to be a spoilsport on your hobby of burning villages, but I'm afraid you must come with us, willingly or unwillingly, it's your choice, said Naruto before focusing chakra to his feet and charging his opponent, who in turn did some hand seals and exhaled a number of medium-sized fireballs in hopes of hitting the black-masked Anbu, but Naruto saw those and dodged them easily, while shortening the distance between one another. However, as soon as he was inches away from the opponent, he saw the man doing another set of hand seals, before slamming his hands on the ground for Doton Doryu Juiki, Earth Release, Earth Rampart Jutsu. Just as Naruto did a backflip, the earth in front of him started to lift, thus protecting the missing nin, surprising Naruto. Man, Katan and Doton wonder if he has also Reitan attacks up his sleeve, snorted Naruto while focusing on hidden attacks out of nowhere. He was not disappointed as a great number of shurikens were sent flying from different directions straight at him. Naruto snorted, because the man didn't pinpoint his location from the attack, but Naruto dodged the incoming shuriken before jumping up the new terrain that was created, before he saw the stream of fire coming straight at him, before he realized what happened. Doing a sequence of hand seals for Sudan Sujinaki, water release, water barrier jutsu, Naruto jumped backwards as a water stream protected him while he verified the man's position, but so far nothing. Far from the fight, Kakashi was seeing everything with his Sharingan and noticed the position of the enemy, but he knew why Naruto was having a difficult time. From what he could tell, after using a technique, the missing nin would change his position while Naruto is defending from his attacks. Right now, he saw Naruto's water barrier protecting him before the blonde fell behind the landscape created by the enemy. Smart move, Naruto, now let's see if you can use it to your advantage, thought Kakashi as he saw Naruto hiding behind it to assess his situation. Back to Naruto, he assessed the situation and came up with a plan to at least pinpoint the man's location. Moving his hands to form a familiar position, and immediately four Narutos appeared to his side. Suddenly, all four of them, but the original one, vanished as they moved to attack the enemy. Almost 2 minutes later, Naruto received memories of the enemy a couple of meters to his right. The third memory showed him the same distance, but to the north direction. The last one showed the enemy on the left direction, so if the pattern stays the same, then the next attack will be Foden de Tapa, wind release, great breakthrough jutsu, said Naruto as he aimed his attack to the direction where the missing nin was and smirked when he heard a couple of screams before the man was propelled a couple of meters away, before adjusting his body so as fall on his feet. Nevertheless, the innumerous number of cuts on his body proved that he shouldn't take this Anbu too lightly. However, he didn't count for the Anbu to appear right in front of him. You do have a lot of chakra to do a lot of techniques, but I'm not going to lose you out of my sight, said Naruto before he charged straight at the enemy, aiming for a punch at the man's jaw only for it to be dodged before Naruto saw him disappear inside the ground. So, that's how he managed to switch position so quick, thought Naruto as he focused chakra to his feet and increased his speed to impossible heights as he focused on the chakra usage to pinpoint his location. The enemy appeared behind a little tree, but not able to escape Naruto's grasp as he appeared with sparkling hands before landing it on the man's chest, thus sending 1,000 bolts of lightning into the man's core. The man couldn't even scream from the amount of pain before he passed out. Seconds later, Kakashi appeared and placed 2 fingers on his neck to check a pulse, and he managed to find one. Well, Naruto, it appears you made it. Although sending a high charge of electricity is heavily unadvisable. I'm guessing that since he came from Kumo that he was used to being shocked. Now seal the man's body into one of the body storage seals, and then we will leave, said Kakashi before Naruto nodded and sealed the man, before getting up and looking at Kakashi. Sensei, I was wondering about the reason behind this mission, said Naruto, to which Kakashi nodded, though if the mask wasn't there, he would have smiled at his student. Indeed, Naruto should have realized that he was being tested, but for what reason still remained unidentified. Why would the Hokage send us here, and only place me as the one fighting the enemy? What was your purpose on this mission? Asks Naruto. Kakashi, for instance, smiled once more, but he could not answer Naruto's question, at least not right now. I was sent here as a backup, Naruto, just in case you couldn't manage to subdue the guy without killing him. Now let's go back to the village, said Kakashi, to which Naruto nodded, before he followed Kakashi towards the village. Just as the two left a couple of trees, the pair moved fast to evade a great number of incoming shurikens that would impale every inch of their skin. After they landed on the ground, in front of them was the enemy. With the Sharingan, Kakashi was assessing the stranger who attacked them, before he grew pale. No way, I killed him personally, how can he be alive? Thought Kakashi. Good to see you, Kakashi, it's been a long time since you used that eye on me, hasn't it? Asked Kabuto as he showed his face, earning gasps from both Naruto and Kakashi. That's it for this part. If you enjoyed it, then like, share and subscribe for the next video, as it's going to be more interesting, and also check out my other playlists, hope you would like them too.